north of Dallas, Texas, the Gaylord Texan Resort, the headquarters for everything Canelo and Smith. Saul Canelo Alvarez from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, takes on Liam Beefy Smith from Liverpool, England, as they work their way towards the pay-per-view on Saturday at the AT&T Stadium. We are inside the media center at the Gaylord Texan Resort, and there you see fans starting to come in. It's all kinds of access for the fans, all kinds of coverage, and we will have it all for you as Liam Smith and the undercard pay-per-view fighters will be making their way into the media center. They're going to walk down the middle, shake hands with the fans, take pictures, take the selfies, of course. What you got to do, you got to do it for the Snapchat, Facebook, the Instagram, do it all. And then they will have a workout right in the ring behind us. And for everything you need from Golden Boy and the pay-per-view this week, keep it right here on Ring TV. Go to the Facebook page, go to YouTube. We will have all the coverage for you. Even there's coverage from Sunday when the Oscar De La Hoya went to Cowboy Stadium and he saw Jerry Jones. He saw the opening game of the Cowboys alongside longtime boxing scribe Steve Kim and the editor of RingTV.com, Doug Fisher. I'm Beto Duran. Thank you for joining us this week on Ring TV. And right away, Doug, let's just get it right here. Liam Smith, Canelo Alvarez, when you heard that fight was made, interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with Liam Smith, and I like him a lot. I consider him one of the better up-and-coming contenders in the junior middleweight division. So I viewed it as a solid matchup, and to myself, I thought this is smart for Canelo Alvarez, who's stepping ever closer to an eventual showdown with Triple G Gennady Golovkin, because Liam Smith is a search-and-destroy fighter. He's a guy who walks his opponents down behind a very hard jab and breaks them down to the body. So I was like, okay, this is good preparation for this eventual showdown. The only thing that surprised me was Canelo's decision to step down to the junior middleweight division.
And the junior middleweight division is where Liam Smith owns a belt. And Steve, he comes from the fighting family. As some of the boxers are starting to work their way in here, Liam Smith is well known in his native country.
Right, led by Joe Gallagher, the noted trainer out of the UK. You've got Calvin Smith, you've got Stephen Smith, and you got Paul Smith, who's made a couple of title runs. Liam Smith is the first one to actually win a major belt, knocking out John Thompson last year in 7 rounds. This fight, one note, is at 154. Stat of the day, Canelo Alvarez has not made 154 since 2013. Keep that in mind. 4
of the 5 last fights for Canelo Alvarez have been at 155. He fought James Kirkland at 154. A good undercard will be presented on Saturday. That right there is Luis Orlando del Valle, Bayamon, Puerto Rico. The Boricua is 22-2 with 16 KOs. He will be the opener of the pay-per-view on Saturday as he takes on undefeated and cousin of Oscar De La Hoya, Diego De La Hoya from Mexicali, Mexico. Super bantamweight WBC youth title on the line. And Luis Orlando del Valle walking down, Orlandito has said, you know what, he knows he's taking on a De La Hoya name, but it's not the Oscar name. He's taking on a youngster who he feels he can beat.
Well, I think you have to understand the politics here. This is a De La Hoya show. This show is being promoted by Golden Boy Promotions, and the manager is Joel De La Hoya. Speaking of Joel De La Hoya, just a few minutes before we went on air, they believe this fight for Diego De La Hoya is the first step up on their way more or less towards a title shot, perhaps by the end of 2017.
And Doug, Diego De La Hoya is a fighter we've seen almost every single one of his professional fights. Every single one of them has been on TV. As Steve said, he's taking the step up in competition, taking on Del Valle, his pay-per-view debut. What kind of fighter is De La Hoya for the ones who are going to see him for the first time?
De La Hoya is an aggressive boxer. He's got really good ring generalship, very good technique. He's a very accurate puncher. I wouldn't consider him a world-class puncher, but he can do a lot of damage with his shots, as he proved in his most recent outings. He had a really good showing on the undercard of the Canelo Khan fight. And this opponent, though, much better than anybody he's faced thus far. This guy used to be the hottest prospect out of Puerto Rico. And in fact, he was in a similar position as Diego De La Hoya is in this Saturday when he faced Vic Darchinyan a few years ago. He was 16-0, and everyone considered Darchinyan sort of his launch pad into contender status, and Darchinyan shocked him and outpointed him, basically outclassed him over 10 rounds.
So he's come back from that. He suffered another loss, a really close loss to an undefeated fighter who remains undefeated. But this guy is probably the most well-rounded and mature fighter that Diego De La Hoya has ever faced. And at age 28 or 29,
he's still in his athletic prime.
Luis Orlando del Valle in the ring right now. Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Spent a lot of time in New York. Also growing up, you mentioned the loss to Vic Darchinyan. That was in Connecticut, 10 rounds in 2012. And then in 2014 in Nevada. A lot of people said that he might have won that fight against Luis Rosa. Went the distance. He lost the decision. After that, he's won 4 in a row. Del Valle, mentioned it, a highly decorated amateur. A lot of talk about maybe at the one age, could he have gone to the Olympics, going back and forth between Puerto Rico and New York. He's a cousin of former WBO bantamweight world champion Rafael Del Valle. Started boxing at the age of 14 in his hometown of Bayamon. And this is one of the fighters who started late, Steve, but quickly made a name for himself in the amateurs.
No, he did, but like Doug mentioned, the Darchinyan fight was actually one he was considered the A side. That was a bit of an upset. Kind of kick-started a renaissance for Darchinyan for his last chapter of his career. As it relates to Del Valle, Doug, you mentioned his age at age 28, 29. He's currently on a 4-fight winning streak. His last bout was May 13th, beating journeyman Thomas Snow. But you get the sense this is last chanceville for Del Valle. If he really wants to have a career that's going to go places, he's got to win Saturday night.
Yeah, and I think he realizes that, and I think when he looks at Diego De La Hoya,
he sort of sees himself back in 2012 where he's thinking, this kid thinks he's invincible, but he doesn't know what's coming.
And I'll say this about Del Valle. He is a very well-rounded boxer. He's somebody who has excellent footwork, very good control of distance. But like
Diego De La Hoya, he is also an aggressive boxer.
That'll be the opening bout of the pay-per-view on Saturday from AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, where the Cowboys play. You can buy the pay-per-view for all you cord cutters, for everybody who's like, you know what, I don't have cable anymore. Go to goldenboypayperview.com. All the information is available to you. Golden Boy Media and Entertainment bringing you different options for the new fight fan. And if you want to check out the undercard, you know, the ones where it's like, hey, that guy's making his pro debut, that starts at 2:20 Central Time, and it'll start with a British fighter in Anthony Yarde. Then you're also going to see Zachary Ochoa from Brooklyn, New York. A lot of the young, hot, up-and-coming prospects for Golden Boy. Virgil Ortiz from Dallas, Texas, 18-year-old. 19-year-old Hector Tanajara from San Antonio. Saddam Ali bouncing back after a loss to Jesse Vargas in the ring, tough against a Mexican Saul Corral. Joshua Franco from San Antonio, Texas. So they have that Texas theme going on, but right now you're watching the Boricua Luis Orlando del Valle, Bayamon, Puerto Rico, skipping that rope. So every fighter is going to come through on the undercard today. They're going to go, shake some hands, take those pictures, get in the ring, get a workout, and there you see the Golden Boy staff right there. That's Omar, right? That's him right there on the bottom, getting the picture. That's going to social media. Check out the Golden Boy Snapchat. Check out the Golden Boy Instagram page, the Instagram story. They will have everything for you. Orlandito del Valle. This is different for these fighters.
No.
Orlando and also Diego, because pay-per-view is a different beast, because now you have to show up on a Monday. You have to do these kind of media events.
Well, this is a threshold for Diego De La Hoya. The last time we saw him was on May 7th on the Canelo Alvarez-Amir Khan undercard. But as you call it, Beto, the undercard. He was not on the televised portion that began at 6 p.m. local. Now he is on the big stage. And back that night against Rocco Santamaro, he dominated a guy that was 13-0. But, Doug, we've said it before, there's nothing more deceiving in boxing than the undefeated record. I think Rocco really was a paper tiger. I think right here in that man, Orlando Del Valle, a much more seasoned opponent.
Yeah, I mean, the difference in quality between, and no disrespect to Santamaro,
right.
He was a well-conditioned athlete. He was very game. He lasted as long as he could before his face fell apart. But this guy has the amateur background. He was developed very well as a professional, and he's been tested. Now, he failed his first test against Vic Darchinyan. We should mention that Darchinyan still had something left. Darchinyan, kind of a borderline Hall of Fame type fighter, and it was still a competitive fight over 10 rounds. And as Beto mentioned, the other loss to Luis, to Rosa, that was very close. That could have gone either way. So this guy he himself still views himself as a potential contender. He still has those dreams of contesting for a world title. He knows that he has to win on Saturday. I think he's really going to present young Diego De La Hoya with something that the young prospect has never faced before.
Steve, what are we watching right now? This isn't a real workout that they would do in the gym, but this is, you still putting on the gloves, got the hands wrapped.
You know what this tells me? This tells me that he's in weight.
What does that mean, in weight?
Basically that we're about 3 days from the weigh-in on Friday, that when guys come out in plastics and actually do a real workout in settings like this and try to break a real sweat, that is usually a harbinger that they have some pounds to lose.
They're not on weight.
Right. The fact that they're just very casual, and this is basically a very athletic photo op.
Yes.
This tells me that he is within range of making weight, and physically he must be feeling pretty good right now.
Luis Orlando Del Valle. Get the pay-per-view at goldenboypayperview.com if you're a cord cutter to go along with the HBO broadcast. If you're going to watch it on TV, different options brought to you by the Golden Boy Media and Entertainment Division. 29-year-old Orthodox fighter from Bayamon, father of two, married, now lives in Dorado, Puerto Rico. And Del Valle is also a fighter who, when he's not doing this inside the ring, he's on the set. You can hear him on a lot of the different Spanish broadcasts. Said he has aspirations of doing that after his career, but Saturday night he's got his hands full with Diego De La Hoya, born in 1994, born in Mexicali, now lives in Calexico across the border, and he trains about 2 hours north in the Coachella Valley with Jojo Diaz. They've been together the entire career. They started in 2013 when he was 19 years old. He is the cousin Oscar De La Hoya, managed by his cousin Joel De La Hoya. And Doug, in the past, when we've talked to him, says as an amateur going to the big tournaments, people would say, oh, you only won because of your name. He said now he knows that everybody who comes to fight him is trying to take away not only his undefeated record, but to say, I beat a De La Hoya. So this kid has bullseye all over him.
Yeah, and I think that has helped build his character.
He's salty. He's salty at times.
Exactly. Well, he has a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't want anyone to think that he's had an easy route to where he is now. He wants people to know that he is where he was as an amateur under his own merits, and he is where he is now as a professional because he has worked hard and he's willing to face tough fighters like Del Valle to get to that next step. And his whole life as a boxer, he knows people have been, they come harder. To beat a De La Hoya, that's a feather in your cap as a boxer. So he's had to fight very hard, and he's willing to do.
That is Luis Orlando Del Valle. We're also Joseph Diaz Jr. or Central.
Yeah, you see very well. Changes angles. He pivots on his front foot to get angles when he's attacking the head or the body, and he does that as well as I've seen any fighter. He does it really well. I think that's probably one of the best things about Del Valle, I think, is his footwork.
Undefeated Diego De La Hoya to kick things off. HBO, how important country-wise is this for you?
This is in Puerto Rico. We have a group that's been able to be part of a great honor and take this victory home.
Your career up to right now?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot in a lot. I will put my family in a better position, and you can count on that. And we are on a great.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on HBO pay-per-view.
I mean, you got to go third person.
You do. And point that I want to make, I think that there's nothing more dangerous than a desperate fighter, because this is for the WBC Youth Super Bantamweight title. Now, he's 29 years old, so I don't know what the cutoff is for youth with the organization.
No, it's not on the line for him.
It's not on the line for him. What's on the line for him is really career relevance, that if he wins this fight, he remains kind of a fringe contender with other opportunities. Now, if he doesn't win this fight, we have to be very honest about it, he probably goes one-way ticket to Opponentsville.
Opponentsville?
At that point, he's somebody that
De La Hoya,
stepping stone, or if I beat, I probably the most improved,
right?
Absolutely legitimate contender going into 2017, but I don't think he's going to just walk through this guy. If he does that, I'll be
I don't think there's any doubt. This is a decided step up from Rocco Santamaro, regardless of the record. I don't care if he has a couple of losses. Santamaro, again, was undefeated. But it really was a cosmetic undefeated record. There wasn't a lot of substance to that record. You look at Del Valle, he has been tested.
Diego De La Hoya, California, on the border of California and Arizona, trained by Danny Garcia right there in the who will take on Joseph Diaz Jr., the 2012 Olympic. Diaz has a tough fight on Saturday.
You know, Joel De La Hoya, who really knows the fight. Now, Andrew Cancio, we have to note, he was scheduled to fight September 30th at the Fantasy Springs. He had earned a Golden Boy contract last year based on a couple of big fights in his HBO debut.
And I had a big reality check. Right now, everything is in line on this fight. My family, everything. You know, I'm not chasing bells. I'm chasing a belt.
Hey, you want us to say Luis Orlando?
Luis Orlandito del Valle.
Luis Orlandito
From
del Valle,
Bayamón,
desde
Puerto
Bayamón,
Rico.
Puerto Rico. Para tu gente en Puerto Rico, ¿qué vamos a esperar para esta pelea para el sábado?
Para mi gente de Puerto Rico, ustedes saben, los que me siguen, los que me conocen, saben que yo lo dejo todo en el ring, saben que yo no me quito, yo voy para ganar todas mis peleas, voy siempre al 100% preparado y esta no va a ser la excepción. Es nuestra pelea más importante de nuestra vida, de nuestra carrera, y la hemos tomado muy en serio y sabemos que el sábado 17 de septiembre Orlandito del Valle va a salir con una gran victoria.
Orlandito del Valle.
Mi gente, los quiero mucho, gracias a todos ustedes por el apoyo. Cuenten que Orlandito del Valle va a salir victorioso este sábado y saben que después de esta pelea vamos a buscar la pelea del título del mundo porque Orlandito del Valle nació para ser campeón y el sábado de septiembre 17 lo vamos a demostrar.
Luis Orlandito del Valle takes on Diego De La Hoya on Saturday, the opening bout of the pay-per-view. Go to goldenboypayperview.com and that'll be at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Good luck to you. Suerte, man. Luis Orlandito.
Hey, good luck.
You got to say Orlandito, not just Orlando.
Orlandito, yeah.
Dímelo, ¿verdad?
Luis Orlandito del Valle.
Right here, Luis Orlandito del Valle. Good luck to you. And then you see Andrew Cancio in the background right now. Chango Cancio with Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia doesn't train many fighters. I believe he only has one other one in Falcao, the Brazilian fighter.
Correct.
And he pays all his attention into Cancio. And this is a fighter, when he lost to Ronnie Rios in Chicago a couple years ago, took a lot of time off, had some injuries, came back though, and he's a completely different fighter. He's more mature, and he's also just focused on fighting.
Yeah, he's 100% fighter now. I mean, in the past, and we should mention, you know, he has 3 losses on his ledger. Those were all very close, competitive fights. You know, as Steve said, you can't always judge a fighter on his record, and that 17-3-2 record of Cancio, very deceiving. Don't look at him as an opponent because the form that he has had in recent months and now that he actually has a full-time trainer and he has a manager and he now has he has a professional, a promotional contract. He actually has full training camps for these fights, which he didn't have years ago.
Doug, you mentioned that situation when he beat Rene Alvarado back last December at Fantasy Springs. That was considered a 50-50 fight, or Cancio probably was not supposed to win that fight. He scores the stoppage. A week or two later, he is signed by Golden Boy Promotions, and it is such a difference between being that guy that gets the phone call 3 weeks from the fight between being the guy that's on the A side of the contract. It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
First pay-per-view fight for Andrew Chango Cancio from Blythe, California. And Cancio, you mentioned this, Doug, about being a full-time fighter. Coming up, he was a barber because he went to become a barber. Then he got a job with the gas company in Ventura. So he would go and work for Southern California Gas and then train with Danny in the evening. And he's a family man. Take care of the kids. That takes a toll on you, especially as you're getting older. And as he said before the Hugo Casares fight, I remember telling me that he was frustrated with the sport of boxing because a fight would line up, it'd fall apart.
Right.
They would call him 2 weeks before, hey, can you lose 10 pounds? Or can you go up in this? Can you do this?
Right.
He's like, no, I'm not a journeyman. I don't want to be treated with that. Because he had a good paying job, was able to choose his spots, and look at him now on a pay-per-view.
You know what the difference is between having a promoter like Golden Boy or any major entity and not? Before, Cancio was that guy that got the call 2 weeks before the fight if someone else dropped out. Cancio is now the guy that gets the fight, and if his opponent drops out, they call another guy that used to be Andrew Cancio. That's the difference in this sport between, you know, that old line from the I could have been a contender.
Right.
And that's about having protection. That's about having representation. And what he's getting here, guys, this Saturday, I think is an opportunity. I think Joseph Diaz is a fighter on the rise. He's been streaking, but I do think he is going to be pushed.
Of a high-risk, low-reward fighter right now because he's not well known outside of hardcore boxing fan circles. A lot of folks will look at him and be like, well, I've never, and look at the record and say, oh, he's got 3 losses. Okay, this is a relatively safe fight for Jojo Diaz. Let me tell you right now, folks, this is a dangerous fight. This is a risky fight.
Is there such a thing as a safe fight on a pay-per-view?
There shouldn't be in theory, but I've seen a lot of Mia St. John and Butterbean.
And the first day from Steve Kim comes at 20 minutes after the broadcast starts.
Now, this is an interesting situation as it relates to Joseph Diaz. He's number 3 in the WBC. And talking to the Robert Diaz, the Golden Boy matchmaker, they were trying to make an eliminator with the fighter out of England. Now, logistically, they needed someone that was going to be willing to take the fight. And with these pay-per-view shows, a budget is adhered to. So unknown. But I think he's extremely dangerous because I think he's a realist in this business that this type of opportunity, Doug, it's not going to be promised to him tomorrow.
No, he's
been that guy.
Yeah, he's not a privileged fighter, and I think what he had to go through to get to this.
Andrew Cancio, Joseph Diaz Jr., who's 21-0 with 12 KOs from South El Monte in the featherweight division. We're going to get to that about the featherweight, how loaded a division it really is. The pay-per-view on Saturday. Go to goldenboypayperview.com, brought to you by Golden Boy Media and Entertainment. It opens up Dito del Valle, Mexico, and the co-feature Gabriel Rosado, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Willie Monroe Jr., New Jalisco, Mexico, Liam Beefy Smith, undefeated fighter. And there you see Andrew Cancio and his trainer Danny Garcia. Cancio waving to the crowd that's assembled here at the Gaylord Texan Hotel and Resort in Grapevine, Texas. That's where the headquarters. He's over there taking pictures with the Canelo camera for Golden Boy's social media. And here is Tattoo. Got Tattoo. You got to let the guy take his picture first. Then you go and work that mic, Tat.
Andrew, just some quick words to the crowd that's here today.
Just thank you guys for coming out and supporting. You know, it's going to be a great fight between me and Jojo. Fans, a good fight, a war, so come on out.
Speaking of a war, if Joseph Jojo Diaz was here right now, what would HBO pay-per-view?
You know, he already knows. We've already had a conference calls and stuff. He knows what I'm bringing to. I know he's going to be ready, and I'm ready, so I know we're going to give the fight.
I asked Valle, I'm going to ask you the same question. Is this the biggest fight of your career up to right now and at this
undercard pay-per-view? This is a dream come true. You know, this is what, as a fighter, this is what you want in your career. So here, yeah, it is my biggest fight for sure.
Saturday live on HBO pay-per-view, Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr. takes on this man, Andrew Cancio.
That's Tattoo working the microphone for Golden Boy. Cancio right there. Cecilia, director of PR for Golden Boy, is going to bring him over for us here at the set. Bethel Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim. And that 126-pound division, Steve, it is loaded right now.
It is top-heavy, and I think it also has very good contenders. But look at some of the guys with belts. Carl Frampton, Oscar Valdez, Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz is still very relevant. I love this division. And for a guy like Cancio, we've seen this, Doug, sometimes in boxing, there is winning in losing if you lose in an entertaining, competitive fashion. And just by being a guy that's a tough, hard-nosed guy that could push a guy to the limit and put on a good show, that is something that is not forgotten by television executives. I still remember Vince Phillips losing a very tough fight to Ike Corte, but with that, he got a shot at Costa Zoo.
With the Liam Smith team, doesn't he?
Yes.
They brought up Doug.
Good to see you.
Good. Oh, you see you? All right, breathe, baby, breathe. We can take our time right here. We have plenty of time. I know it's only a 10-minute workout, but Danny was working you, wasn't he?
Yeah, a little sweat going on. You know, I'm already sweating and stuff, so yeah, it was good.
We were talking about it while you were working out. A couple years ago, you're in Chicago, you lose. And then all of a sudden it was, are you going to become one of those opponents where they call you last minute? And you told us, like, you know what, I'm going to let my body get healthy. I got a good job. I don't need to be that guy. You're not that desperate fighter. Look at you now. Your career is now on a pay-per-view. Everything you've dreamed up. How hard was it for you to stay focused on that?
It actually wasn't hard at all. This is what I've always wanted. So it kind of just made me, all I thought about was this fight. And I was just zoned in on this fight. My emotions still haven't played a big role come Saturday or come Friday, the weigh-ins, where I'm actually like, oh, wow, Like even right now, all this stuff is very new to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, you talk to me and Doug now. We don't have sweats. We have suits on. It's different, right?
Exactly.
We clean up, don't we?
Yeah, real, you know. So yeah, it's I told my buddies like, man, like, can you believe we're here? You know, I'm from a small town.
Yep.
You guys know where I'm from. And
Blythe, California, the Arizona-California border. Not much comes out of there, but you're the pride of that area.
Yeah, you know, and I'm thankful, you know. I thank God every day that I'm here. Like it's been a long road. You guys know that, ups and downs in my career, and I'm here and I'm ready to put on a show. You know.
I think you deserve to be here, and really your coming out party was last December against Rene Alvarado. By the way, folks, one of the better fights of 2015. Going into that fight, I thought you were underrated as a boxer. Coming out of the fight, I thought to myself, man, he's underrated as a puncher. I can't believe the way you hurt Rene, who usually has a rock-solid chin, and got him out of there. It was very impressive. Do you think you can hurt Joseph Diaz Jr.?
Absolutely. I know I can. At 126 pounds, I feel very, very strong. I feel quicker. I mean, I'm not dying to make weight. As you can tell, I'm sweating just off of that little light workout. Like my nutritionist helps me out tremendous, and we have a good team. And I feel great at 126. I honestly believe I can hurt him, and that's what I want to do. I want to continue my.
Are there indications in the gym, like guys that you've sparred with, and I mean, can you feel yourself being stronger, and are you handling sparring partners in a way that let you know, like, you know what, I am strong as a featherweight, and I can punch?
Yes, of course. I have my sparring partners tell me even before this camp. Tell me, man, you hit hard for a little guy, you know, and I spar bigger guys as well. Like this sparring, this training camp.
Shia Santana?
Yeah.
You've been in there with a giant welterweight.
Yep.
He told me you could punch, actually.
Yeah, and and I thought he was joking, but he goes, nah. He goes, you hit me with some shots, and I'm like, whoa, like you got me. Like, oh, I'm scared of you because you know Chi, he's a big guy.
He's a giant.
So whenever I'm at a comfortable weight, I spar him, and he gives me great work. So, and then, I have, I spar with David Mijares for this camp, getting ready for this fight. He's a 135-pounder.
Yeah, 140-pounder.
Young kid, right?
Yes.
Out of Santa Monica. Junebug, Golden Boy fighter.
Yep, exactly. He gave me really, really good work, and, that's what I need. I always have to get the bigger guys because those are the guys that can sustain the punches, and the pressure. And so he gave me very, very good work, and so did my other sparring partner, Arnold. He gave me very, very good work with the hand speed, southpaw, real slick. So, I do know that they tell me, like, you hit hard, and I believe it now.
You got 13 KOs. Obviously, you do. Your last two fights, Rene Alvarado, Hugo Casares, you stopped Alvarado in the 7th, Casares in the 3rd. We're talking with Andrew Cancio, who fights Joseph Diaz Jr. Saturday. Get the pay-per-view. Go to goldenboypayperview.com. And on your screen right now, you're watching Willie Monroe Jr. from New York. He takes on Gabriel Rosado in the co-feature. When they called you and said Joseph Diaz Jr., what'd you think?
Well, they first called me, hey, my manager called me, hey, we have an opportunity to be on the Canelo undercard September 17th. Like, it's going to cut us 2 weeks.
Yeah, you already had a fight on September 30th.
Exactly.
You were the main event.
The main event, Fantasy Springs. But I was like, I said, for sure, absolutely. Like, this is an opportunity. Okay, we have to cut a couple 2 weeks, but we've already were in gym training. So, hey, let's go ahead and let's do it. I had already known that in my mind, it's going to be on the undercard. It's got to be a difficult fight. But like I tell everybody, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything or to get the easy fights. I want to go straight to the top. If I can go to the top, let's do it. Let's do it now. I'm going to be 28 next month. I'm not here to BS anybody. Like, either we have it or we don't. As soon as they said Jojo Diaz, I said, yep, let's take it.
Not even thinking about it, huh? Let's go.
Because I already knew, like, my manager and my team had already told me they're going to eventually match you guys up. The Rene Alvarado fight, he was the main event, I was the co-main event. And we're at the same weight. Like, eventually it was going to come down to it. So what bigger stage than to do it than the Canelo undercard? This is perfect. You might as well take this opportunity while you can, and that's, like I said, it's a dream come true. It's a pay-per-view card. I mean, I used to, when I was just a fan of boxing, I used to look at the TV like, man, that's so cool that these guys are on pay-per-view. I'm here idolizing these fighters, and then here I am.
And here you are, Andrew Cancio. Get the pay-per-view. Go to goldenboypayperview.com. He turns 28 next month. Look at you growing up in front of our eyes right here.
You're in your prime. This is your peak right now.
17-3-2 is his record. 13 KOs. He takes on undefeated Joseph Diaz Jr. It's pretty cool when you show up on a Sunday or a Monday, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. It feels a lot different, you know.
Big time, huh?
And I get to take time off of work this whole week, so and just rest and relax about the fight.
Hey, if they're watching you in the 805, the gas company, right?
Yeah, the gas company. Shout out to all my my friends in the gas company and stuff.
Especially your boss that let you take the days off.
My supervisor. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Andrew Cancio, check him out. He'll be on all the scenes on the Golden Boy Facebook page, the YouTube page, the Snapchat. Go and check it out. Cancio, good luck to you Saturday. We'll see you all week long. Willie Monroe is in the background right now. He takes on Gabriel Rosado as the co-feature on Saturday. Go to goldenboypayperview.com. The media and entertainment division from Golden Boy bringing it. Cancio trained by Danny Garcia in Ventura. Doing work. And here you see footage of the last fight for Willie Monroe. You see him in the brown trunks, the southpaw.
See the elusiveness. See the hand speed. Those excellent reflexes and balance. Nice feint and then a stiff jab. Puts his opponent down. And this guy, John Thompson?
Yes. John Thompson.
This is who Liam Smith beat to win the WBO junior middleweight title.
Beto Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim. And that was the fight against John Thompson in June, Doug, for Willie Monroe Jr. If you're like, wait a minute, I think I heard that name over the weekend. Yes, the same Willie Monroe that took on Triple G a year ago in Doug's hometown of Inglewood, California. It ended in the 6th round, but he stepped up after a win over Brian Vera, took on Triple G, and that was a camp where his trainer was in and out of camp. He had different issues, never made excuses, and he was formidable for Triple G, but as many of the opponents have seen, it ended early.
He actually had a couple of moments, really let some fast, hard, flashy combinations go. For Willie Monroe, his rise and his ability to get that fight really came on the heels of winning the Boxino tournament a couple years ago on ESPN, winning 3 fights in quick succession, and then Brian Vera. I think he's an athletic guy. This particular fight is interesting, given the fact that I don't think anyone can predict what baffling Billy Joe Saunders is going to do. Listen, he was supposed to be on this card. Quite frankly,
Wait,
he's
did
not.
you just call him baffling?
Did I? Would I do such a thing? or Bluff Job Sanders, as I like to call him.
Oh, Steve's in prime form already. It's only Tuesday.
There is an opportunity. I believe that the winner of this fight between Willie Monroe and Mr. Rosado could be facing Canelo in December. Now, in a perfect world, would BJ Saunders be fighting on this card, maybe as a showdown, as a prelude to a middleweight title shot for Canelo? Yes, but we do not live in a perfect world, and Billy Joe Saunders lives on his own planet. I believe now he's fighting October 29th. So there's a lot of stakes here for Willie Monroe and Gabe Rosado, possibly a shot at Saul Alvarez down the line.
Right. Well, they're talking about that for December.
Yes.
Canelo has a fight in December tentatively, Steve? Or there's just dates set up? Or
The word from the Obama of Golden Boy, the new one, Eric Gomez, he says that December 10th, they have a hold on the world-famous Madison Square Garden, and that would be his New York debut. That's one of the venues that they have on hold currently.
that means there's a saloon around the corner, isn't there?
Jimmy's Corner. If you're ever in town,
Times Square, you got to go there.
Yeah, say hi to Jimmy Glenn, one of the finest men in boxing. And guys, drinks are cheap.
Beto Duran, Doug Fisher, Steve Kim, thank you for checking us out here on ringtv.com. And if you hear us talking with these fighters about past fights that we've called or they've been on shows, you can go to the Golden Boy YouTube page and check them out there. That fight from Cancio and Casares on there. Joseph Diaz as a youngster coming up at the Belasco and Fantasy Springs in Southern California. Go and check out footage. If you're watching this right now, that means you're probably at work with covering up with an Excel spreadsheet over this right now.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you can go mute the sound. You can go and check out that fight. As you see, Willie Monroe Jr., Rochester, New York, comes from a fighting family. Dad and uncle were fighters. Monroe takes on Gabe Rosado, and this was a fight that we thought was going to be on the card a little bit earlier. It moves up to co-main, And it's an interesting fight because you have two guys that are desperate in their careers right now, Steve.
Doug, I would label this a crossroads bout because the winner, again, might propel themselves to a title shot. And the loser, especially if it's Rosado, given his age and his record, you don't know if he's going to be relevant at this stage anymore. This really is a must-win situation for Gabe Rosado. And I think for Willie Monroe, this is a great opportunity. Hey, let's face it, he had problems getting into the ring after the fight with Golovkin last year.
Yeah, he was out for a long time, and I was surprised he looked as sharp as he did against Thompson.
There you see Tom Hogan taking pictures with the Golden Boy shirt. Andy, the man that was behind the piano with the Golden Boy Ring TV camera. With Monroe. We are inside a convention center. It is very warm in here on purpose because these fighters wanted to come in here, get a sweat, get a lather, and when these guys are sweating, Steve, especially on a Tuesday, you mentioned it to Cancio, it's good because that means they're on point for their weight, right?
Right. Basically, when a fighter cannot sweat this late into the process, that means that they are spent physically. And I think that's one of the interesting things as we talk about the lead into this fight as we go down to the countdown to the weigh-in. Liam Smith, our understanding is, only came in this Sunday. So there's two issues here. Number one, how is he handling the weight? And number two, this was a big issue last week in the UK. Is there any chance of jet lag?
And last week in the UK, you saw Kell Brook take on Triple G. That Saturday show was really cool because you had fights in the afternoon, fights in the evening, and this Saturday at the AT&T Center, AT&T Stadium, there's a center somewhere I know there is, with the naming right, AT&T Stadium, Jerry House, right? No S on it, that's what I was told. Jerry World. Jerry World, as Will Wright, our director and vice president, tells us, is they were there on Sunday as Oscar De La Hoya and Jerry met together along with President Bush. And they were there for the Cowboys opening game. Tattoo is ready to rock that mic with Willie Monroe. First, the mariachi's got to simmer down a little bit. We're getting fired up here in Texas. Oh, you can't cut off that's ay-ya-ya right there, Tat. You can't cut that off. You got to let him finish. You got to get the tan-tan in there. Once we get the tan-tan, then you can talk, Tat. Oh, it's Guadalajara they're singing. Oh, Canelo shows up tomorrow. You can't cut off Guadalajara.
They might as well pass the mic to Willie and let him sing a little bit because that's something that he's actually
Yes,
done,
he
although
does.
it was R&B and not mariachi. But, he's versatile.
Hey, man,
versatile boxer. He's probably a versatile singer.
Hey, you can get some mariachi R&B. You know, Guadalajara right there, ready to go. And now Willie Monroe.
Mariachi Mexicanísimo. And to my left right now, middleweight sensation live on HBO pay-per-view, our co-main event. Willie Monroe Jr. Just some words really quick to a few of the fight fans that came out today.
Oh, thanks a lot for coming out, man. It's going to be a great show. I'm glad I'm the co-feature.
How is that right now, Willie? Like going, all the way to co-feature, co-main event, Canelo Smith, live HBO pay-per-view. It's a big deal.
It's huge. It's huge. Like last year after, my loss to Golovkin, I didn't think I'd be back here this quick. I thought I had to rebuild, but the fans believe in me. The fans love me. That fight made me a bigger fighter, so I'm here.
That was going to be my next question. What did that fight do for you? Some people take a loss and they take steps back. It seems like you took a loss and you took steps forward.
It just enhanced my hunger. Enhanced my hunger, my drive. Every fighter has that kick in the butt that they need to take them to that next level. It's not that you're not there, but everybody goes to that next level some type of way. So that was my kick in the butt.
I got to let the fight fans know that are here, and of course the fight fans watching all around the world on the ringtv.live. This Gabe Rosado, man, he really don't like you, man. He's really saying that he's totally gonna knock you out. He's gonna go in there and put hands on you. This is not a game. This is no joke. He's here to take you out, and he just plain and as simply said, I don't like Willie Monroe Jr., period. I don't want to see him. I don't want to bump into him. I don't want to walk into him. What do you have to say about that right there, Willie Monroe, to your opponent, Gabe Rosado, if he was here right now?
God bless him.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. This Saturday live on HBO pay-per-view, 2 real middleweights battle it out. Our co-main event, Willie Monroe Jr.
May the Lord be with you.
Yeah.
Daniel Garcia, thanks for watching us at home on ringtv.com. Ringtv.com. We're back with more coverage from Dallas, Texas at the Gaylord Texan Resort. You're watching ringtv.com.
Alvarez is 26 with 50 fights. This will be his 50th fight.
There's not many things that put fear me or scare me.
That's a big right hand.
I was always, I was fighting in school and stuff like that.
Alvarez, golden boy, made a huge mistake here. I think we'll have the right man to do the job and take the crown away from Saul Alvarez.
Yo quería ser boxeador desde la primera vez que vi pelear a mi hermano y es algo que me apasiona hasta el día de hoy.
RingTV.com coverage from Dallas, Texas on the week of Canelo and Smith on your screen right there from South El Monte, California. 2012 Olympian, undefeated with a record of 21-0. Joseph Diaz Jr. coming in smooth. Hands wrapped. He's going to put on a workout. Bethel Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim. We are here inside the media center, and Joseph Diaz Jr. quickly rising through the ranks of the lightweight division or featherweight division. And this is his last fight at the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino, where they told him if you come out unscathed, we could possibly get you on the Canelo undercard. Well, he ended it in the second against Victor Proa, a tough veteran Mexican.
Beto, we were on the call for this fight for the HBO International, and I thought he did what he was supposed to. If you are a young, rising contender facing a guy at this level, again, it's not if you win, it's how you win, and he definitively hammered Proa into submission early on.
One thing I noticed in that fight, and I was watching the stream, great job as always, guys.
On ringtv.com?
Yes, at the time it was ringtvlive.com, but now you see these things on ringtv.com. One thing that stood out to me was his physical presence. He looks filled out. His muscle is there. He's, as they say in boxing, he's grown into his man strength at 23, 24 years old. And the power. There was more snap and a lot more force on the end of his punches than last year.
Thanks to everybody watching on ringtv.com all over the United States. Make sure you get the pay-per-view Saturday for you cord cutters. Get it on your phone, your iPad, your computer. Go to goldenboyppv.com. They will take care of you. And thanks to Veronica, who's supposed to be working on people's mortgages right now, but she's from South El Monte. She wants to see Joseph Diaz Jr. work out right now. Cool feature. Every single day of coverage will be brought to you here on Ring TV. Go to the YouTube page, go to the Facebook page, and they will have everything for you. Tomorrow, Canelo Alvarez makes his grand arrival to Dallas, Texas. The undercard fighters, the youngsters, Hector Tanahara, Joshua Franco, Virgil Ortiz, and others will also be doing the same thing. On Thursday, we will have the final press conference. That'll be at AT&T Stadium. Canelo and Smith final press conference. That'll be available for you on ringtv.com, the Facebook page of Golden Boy Boxing, and also with HBO's YouTube page. And it'll be live Friday, the weigh-ins from AT&T Stadium. It'll be a very cool event, open to the public. So if you're in the Dallas area, everything this week is open to the public. A great chance to get that selfie in there with some of your favorite fighters. Joseph Diaz Jr., trained by his father, Joseph Sr., started boxing because the kid at school was messing with him in elementary. The dad took him to the gym to see if he could possibly learn something, how to protect himself. Now he goes to the Olympics. Now he's making his pay-per-view debut. Also on the pay-per-view Saturday, taking on Gabriel Rosado, New York's own Willie Monroe Jr. Just got done with his workout. He's trying to breathe right now because it's a little warm inside the media center. Willie Monroe Jr. All right, okay. So I was doing my research, man. Right? You know, it's what broadcasters do research.
Yeah, that's what's up.
How many nicknames you got, man?
I mean, El Mongoose was just the one I had. I don't know what anybody else. What did everybody else?
He's thinking of the Worm. He's thinking of your relative.
Oh, that's
He's
my
thinking of your
that's my
great uncle.
Okay, that was your uncle.
That was my great uncle.
The Body Rock.
That was my dad.
That's your dad.
Yeah.
See, people need. Okay, look for you media members. When you guys are writing a story, put senior and junior after these names. Attention to details right now.
Yeah.
Willie.
El Mongoose.
El Mongoose.
Yeah.
Why El?
Because my
Speak Spanish now?
Cuban descent.
See, my grandfather, even my Uncle Willie, I mean, they didn't talk much about it back then, but they're Afro-Cuban descent.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So that's where our boxing comes from. See, my uncle was because he fought out of Philly, everybody thought they were born in Florida. Everybody, once they became of age, migrated north. Some of us are in New York, some are in Philadelphia, some are in Niagara Falls, like the Canadian side, but Western New York on up through Philadelphia and New York is where my family
So your dad's side, El Cubano.
Sí.
All right, yeah, don't worry. There's no Spanish test here.
Okay,
Right?
cool.
All right. We'll get the bilingual test.
I've been
later on.
working on it because my coach is Mexican, so he tells me everything in Spanish.
All right, hold on. You got Cuban roots,
right?
And you got a Mexican coach, and you're fighting from New York, and then your dad's got a Philadelphia roots. So what kind of fighter are you, bro?
A little bit of everything.
Todo.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of everything in your style. You're very versatile. You can box on the inside, as you showed against Triple G. You can stick and move, which you're very comfortable in doing. My question for you is, after the Golovkin fight, you were out for a long time.
Right.
And you came back earlier this year against John Thompson. You looked really good. How important was that fight how did you feel as far as shaking off rust from inactivity?
It was definitely a little pressure because you're like, man, I haven't been in the ring in 13 months. And I wasn't out of the ring due to boxing stuff. I was out of the ring due to like the business of boxing.
Right.
We all know that's got caught up a lot of fighters. But I'm thankful that I'm out of that. And it was a little pressure, but we went in there and did our thing.
How did you feel, though?
I felt good. I felt good. The thing about me is I live in the gym. I have, only bad habit I have outside of the ring is probably cookies and pies. I don't.
It's not a bbad habit, bro.
Right.
for a fighter, it is. Okay.
Right.
Sorry, for the media guys, we love it.
But that's as worse as it gets for me. That's as bad as it gets. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I live in the gym.
You've had some adversity in your career where you've been dropped by people.
Yeah.
Not inside the ring, outside of it.
Yeah.
You had to grow up quickly in the sport. You quickly learn the business side of it. You're a mature fighter. Gabriel Rosado also has had some ups and downs in his career, as these guys are calling it. It's a crossroads fight because the guy who loses doesn't fight on pay-per-view much longer, if that ever again. Right. It's a big opportunity for you Saturday.
All I can do is go in there and do what I do, and work hard. I don't like to look at it as a crossroads fight for me because, I have 2 losses, and one of them is I have a split decision loss and a loss to the greatest middleweight as of right now. So, I can easily bounce back. But I'm not even focused on losing or making this a crossroads fight. I'm looking forward to going in there and doing what I'm supposed to do, which is be the full mongoose.
Why the mongoose? Where does that nickname come from?
The mongoose came from a family member. Sammy Torres gave me that name. He just saw my style and the way I make guys miss and the way I counter and how I could be right in range, but you still can't hit me. So, if you ever watch the mongoose take down a cobra, that's how they do. They stay right in range, and they dance around, do a little pretty dance. People call it showboating. I call it strategy. I like to have a little fun in there,
It's crafty, but it's aggressive.
Yeah.
That's a mongoose. So I just wanted to ask, you're both veterans,
right.
you and Rosado. How do you beat Rosado? Like, given what Rosado's style is, and I don't know how you yourself would define it, but what's the key to beating somebody with that kind of experience?
And don't worry, he's not watching.
That's okay. The training camp is done, so it doesn't matter. You just have to be smart. Just like any other fight, you have to be smart. Whatever a guy brings to the table that he does, you have to be able to adjust on the fly. And execute on the fly. Not only to adjust, but execute. And use what he thinks he does best and things that he thinks he's going to do to his disadvantage.
So you figure it out when you're in there. You're not going in there thinking, well, I got to box him or I got to fight him. You got to figure it out.
I went in there thinking maybe I should box Golovkin, and then after I got dropped, I said, well, maybe I should fight him.
What's the line? Everybody has a plan until they're punched.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, I just turned into, that's when I really turned into the mongoose. Like, all right, I got to get my.
You mentioned the Golovkin. When you are in that ring, because obviously everybody's thinking Canelo and Smith and then the Golovkin and everything else out there, but when you're in that ring, how different is it from anything you prepare for when you're facing Triple G?
It's very different. He's very awkward. He's skillfully awkward. He shoots punches at weird angles. You know what I mean? Like, you can duck a 1-2, you can duck a hook, but when a hook comes and then it comes down on top of your head, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't train for this. You know what I mean? Or a looping punch comes and hits you behind the ear, or you get hit on the kidneys or on the hips. You're like, wait a minute, this is different. So, but like I said, he's skillfully awkward, and he knows how to use what he does best. He's not a very athletic fighter. He's not very make you miss. He's more of a walk you down type, bang you out fighter. So he knows how to use that to the best of his ability to win fights. And I think that's what all fighters should focus on. Don't focus on what they do best. Focus on what I do best and making them have to deal with it.
Willie Monroe Jr. takes on Gabriel Rosado Saturday. Go to goldenboypayperview.com to get it. If you don't have a TV, cable, perfect. Get it on your phone, iPad, goldenboyppv.com. That's what you need to use. All the footage from throughout this week. Let your people know. Golden Boy's YouTube page, Golden Boy's Facebook, the Snapchat, the Instagram, the Golden Boy Media and Entertainment social media department is going to hook Willie Monroe Jr. up. What's your social right now? Your Instagram?
My Instagram is Willie_Alamongoose_Monroe Jr.
All right,
if you just put in Willie Monroe Jr. on all of my social medias,
all right, there you go. A lot of underscores on there. We're going to fix that, man.
I had to stop people from stalking me.
Man. You're a fighter. There it is. Willie Monroe Jr., good luck to you. All right, you're Espanol. ¿Cómo estás?
I'm muy bien.
¿Listo?
Sí.
¿Listo?
Sí, I feel good. Yeah,
There you go.
I feel ready.
All right, Saturday pay-per-view. Willie Monroe Jr., he takes on Gabriel Rosado on the pay-per-view at AT&T Stadium. You see Joseph Diaz Jr. in the background working with his trainer and father right now. That'll be the fight before Willie El Mongoose takes on Gabriel Rosado. And Willie, good luck to you. I know there's a bunch of media waiting for you right now, man. Suerte. We'll see you all week long, man.
God bless.
Thanks for talking to us.
God bless.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to go and find some signature on YouTube, all right?
Oh.
Hey, they give us notes right here.
Oh, man.
Wait, signature, if the spelling is correct because it's term sing and nature. Opened up for Trey Songz, T-Pain. Well, I mean, we do research here at Golden Boy.
Actually, my brother that was in my group, he's here, so.
I mean, you got the music bars on your tab?
Yeah, I graduated from Performing Arts School for vocal music and piano, so.
So if whoever is doing the national anthem falls out, either you or your buddy?
I got it.
All right.
We'll just drop the mic. You don't even have to hold it.
I got it.
As el mariachi, el mexicanísimo is getting loud. You want to play some mariachi too? We got you there. You want mariachi? You want to get in?
Nah.
No. Oh, you're Cuban.
I'm a salsa type of guy.
Yeah.
It's still cool, though.
We'll go some bachata or some reggaeton.
Right.
Here you
Cool.
go. Willie Monroe Jr. The mariachi is getting going right now. Joseph Diaz in the ring. He is taking on Andrew Cancio. And they go to goldenboyppv.com for everything Saturday related. That
a
is
lot
his
of folks
father.
asking about that on Twitter. I got Big Nas 1999. Hey Dougie, is there going to be an online stream we can purchase of the Canelo card this weekend?
Oh.
Yes, Big Nas 1999. You want to go to Golden Boy PPV or goldenboypayperview.com, and then if you get that stream, you get the commentary of Hall of Famers Larry Merchant and Colonel Bob Sheridan.
Colonel Bob Sheridan, who's seen, what, 10,000 fights?
Yes. More than anybody. More than anybody.
I think he did Kane versus Abel. I think he did the undercard for that one, too. That's bad. That's bad. Wow.
When you have to translate your joke.
Should we go to break now?
No. You can go take a break. Doug and I, we're getting going, baby. The tea is kicking in. The coffee is going. Joseph Diaz Jr. from South El Monte, Southern California. Joseph Diaz Jr. sat down with the Ring TV cameras. As always, this kid, very eloquent, very intelligent, and very thoughtful in his words.
I know that my opponent, Andrew Cancio, he fought the same opponent as mine, Rene Alvarado. I went the decision with him, but Andrew Cancio knocked out the opponent. Style makes fights. Andrew Cancio, he's a very aggressive fighter. I'm more of a counterpuncher and like to move around and create angles and get the victory and, land punches and try not to get hit.
I know what Jojo brings. He knows that it's going to be a rough and tough fight, and I think that with the experience that I have, we'll be able to get the W.
And there you see El Mexicanísimo Show from Fort Worth, Texas. It's a family group. That's one of the sons going off right now at the the Gaylord Texan Resort inside the Media Center is where we are right now. About 20 minutes north of Dallas, Texas, the headquarters for everything Canelo and Smith. There you see Joseph Diaz Jr. with tattoo inside the ring.
Diaz Jr., he will be live on HBO pay-per-view taking on Andrew Cancio. Jojo, it's Puerto Rico versus Mexico. A Chicano kid from El South Almani representing the Raza. You know that we got to go hard. How hard do we go Saturday night?
Oh, we go full throttle, man. I know I'm fighting a tough competitor, Andrew Cancio, but we're ready for whatever he brings to the table, and we're ready to bring that W and put on a great fight for all the fight fans here in Dallas.
Joseph, you've had some great fights, and you're tearing up the boxing world right now, in my eyes, not just as a boxing fan, a boxing analyst watching the breakdown of boxing. I see so much potential, star written all over you, man. Andrew Cancio, is this your biggest fight yet? Like mentally watching him, his style, his aggression?
Yes, it is the biggest fight to date. Andrew Cancio is the toughest opponent to date, that's for sure. He's strong, he keeps on coming, he puts a lot of pressure, and he throws a lot of shots. So we trained very hard for this fight, and we know what it is to be in such a big stage. So I think that that's going to be a big factor inside the fight, because I don't think Andrew Cancio has ever been in a big stage such as this magnitude. And I just feel like I'm going to just go in there and do what I do best, and you know, adjust to his style and come out victorious.
Ladies and gentlemen, live this Saturday, HBO pay-per-view, 2012 U.S. Olympian and undefeated superstar right now. Make some noise for Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr.
Joseph Diaz Jr., undefeated, 21-0, 12 KOs, making his way over to our desk. Make sure you send us your tweets, your Instagrams, use the hashtag RingTV, and we will check that out. Thanks to everybody watching all over Southern California, and got a couple of tweets from New York. We will be here all week long. I'm Durant Sports. That's Steve, UCN Live, and Dougie Fisher. And also, without a doubt, go and check out Doug's mailbag from Monday. Read it on the plane over here, Doug.
You like it?
I like it.
Entertaining?
Because you know what I'm noticing in your mailbag the last couple of weeks and months? Intelligent questions, non-whiny questions. And, of course, sports fans never whine about their teams, especially during college football season or after Monday Night Football. But the intelligence of the fight fan, and that's something we saw with this card. Obviously, there's going to be people who are going to rip it because they thought maybe something else should have happened, other fights should have happened, different this. I'm not going to do that. But if you look at the way that Roberto Diaz and Javier Razo, the matchmakers for Golden Boy, put this together, very interesting for young fighters going to the next level.
Yeah, and you know what? Interesting. Like, it's not the highest marquee names on the undercard of this pay-per-view event, but I'm going to say it right here. All four fights are going to be competitive. They are. You know, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to play out on Saturday when they step into the ring. If I did, I would quit my job and just bet on boxing. But on paper, all four fights are going to be competitive.
Diego De La Hoya making his way into the media center, ready for his workout. There you see him, the green, white, and red. He's from Mexicali, Baja California Sur, Cachanilla Power, as he's walking in, ready to go. And this is a kid, we've seen him grow up quickly since he turned pro in 2013. Usually the week of a fight, he doesn't have a smile. He has a scowl because he is trying to make the weight. He is trying to get into a different zone. But there you see him, and this is his last fight on the Canelo Khan undercard against Rocco Santamoro, a fighter who was undefeated but who was outclassed. And there you see De La Hoya picking him apart.
Yeah, outclass is the best way to put it. He did what he wanted to do with Santamoro in there. Landing wonderful combinations to the head, to the body, lead shots. He was able to punch on the fly. He had a beautiful uppercut move that he would use. Look at that. Look at that. Did a little bolo swing, landed it while he's moving, and it landed with force and prompted the referee to rightfully stop that massacre.
Santamoro was trained by Shane Mosley, and Mosley actually jumped in and stopped that one, as Mexico Lindo y Querido is now playing inside the media center. Diego De La Hoya is getting ready to do his workout. And Joseph Diaz Jr., this is a fighter who is going to fight after Diego on Saturday, and this is something where the media swarming him right now. He was supposed to be here a couple minutes ago. We're going to catch up with him, but a fighter and Joseph Diaz, who, let's just say Diego and Joseph, down the line, there could be a collision course with these two.
Yes. We've talked about this before in some of our other broadcasts, Beto, but if you look at the younger generations between 122 and 126, Joseph Diaz, Oscar Valdez, Diego De La Hoya, and they're all local from the Southern California area.
And they have history from the amateurs.
Yes.
They fought each other.
So there are a lot of potential matchups to be made here, I think, within the next 2 or 3 years.
As these guys are 21, 22, 23 years old. The first pay-per-view for Diego De Loya, there you see him trained by excellent trainer Joel Diaz. Joel's getting his arms loose, so that means they're really going to do some work here if he's got to get the shoulders ready.
You know, speaking of Joel Diaz, a very solid trainer out of Coachella, there is life after the Desert Storm. Tim Bradley, I thought they had a bit of an ugly breakup last year, but in talking to Joel Diaz the last couple of months, alongside Diego De La Hoya, we've seen a couple of guys that he has that I think are very promising, and Cesar Diaz, and a kid that made his pro debut last time we saw him, Virgil Ortiz, tall, heavy puncher that'll be on the card. Joel Diaz believes, Doug, he has at least 6 or 7 future world champions under his gun.
And he would know.
18-year-old Virgil Ortiz from Dallas, Texas, training with Joel Diaz. He will be on the show Saturday. That gets going at 2:30 on ringtv.com. It will be 6 fights your way for free on Ring TV. Then you can get the pay-per-view at goldenboyppv.com. Bethel Duran, Doug Fisher, and our sometimes broadcast partner, Joseph Diaz Jr., who will not wear a suit or makeup this weekend. He will be in the ring fighting Andrew Cancio. And Jojo, when they said the name Cancio, because I remember talking to you, you said maybe there was a chance of fighting a British fighter or somebody who had a bigger name, but Cancio came up, and that's a tough fight. Why did you take this one?
You know what? Unfortunately, we didn't get the British fighters, but
Let me get that microphone up, Jojo. Come on, you've worked with us before.
But I feel like Andrew Cancio, he's the toughest test to date, man. He's a very tough competitor. He keeps on coming. He's very strong, and he's aggressive. And that's why I chose that fight, because I want to showcase to everybody that I'm willing to fight these tough guys that Golden Boy has, and I want to showcase to everybody that I could defeat these guys as well. And I know that Andrew Cancio is going to be the toughest test, so he's going to bring out the best in me. And that's what I want everybody to see. I want everybody to see the best Joseph Diaz come September 17th.
Cancio is an underrated boxer who's shown us in recent fights that he's got a lot of power.
Yeah.
It's good power for a featherweight. And I asked him when he was sitting with us, does he have enough power to hurt you? He absolutely believes that. Is the same with you? Do you feel, because you're sitting down in your punches more, and I'm seeing it in your body. Your muscles are there, and you're filling out a little bit. In your last fight, you blew the guy out. Do you feel like you can hurt Cancio?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the plan on going into this fight. We want to make sure that we're sitting down my shots early in the fight for Andrew Cancio could be second-guessing himself and making sure that he's fighting on his back foot. Because we know that Andrew Cancio, he's a tough competitor going forward, but we never seen him fighting backwards, and that's the game plan, is putting on being strong in there and making sure that we're hurting him before he could be going backwards as well.
You want to get your respect early in this fight.
I want to get my respect because a lot of people don't think that I have the power still, and I want to showcase to everybody that I do have the power, I have the skill, and I have the speed.
You're watching Diego De Loya work with Joel Diaz right now. Diego takes on Orlandito del Valle. That is the first fight on pay-per-view. And then the co-feature, Gabriel Rosado, Willie Monroe Jr., Canelo Smith, obviously, is Canelo Alvarez and Liam Smith. When you talk for 2 hours, you're going to blend some names together. But the fight that I'm reading amongst different media scribes, talking to boxing people around the hotel, the one to watch out for, the one they're excited for, is Joseph and Andrew Cancio. And this isn't people in your camp or Cancio's camp. It's outside observers that know the sport like, oh, this has a chance to be a barn burner. What do you expect? You're a southpaw. He's orthodox. What do you expect Saturday?
I expect a brawl, man. I expect both of us fighters, leaving it all on the line, because I know that this is the biggest fight for Andrew Cancio, and this is the biggest stage, so he wants to go out there and make a statement as well. And this is my biggest stage that I've ever been on, being on pay-per-view, and I want to track all the Mexican fans, and I want to track everybody that's tuning on pay-per-view to be following me. And it's great exposure for both of us, so expect a brawl, expect an all-out war, and let the best man win.
It's high stakes for you, too. You have a high rating within the WBC. You're number 3 in the BC, and the plan for Golden Boy is to put you in a title elimination situation, maybe by the end of this year. If not the end of this year, then early next year, to where you're going to challenge Gary Russell Jr. for that WBC 126-pound title. So you can't afford any slip-ups here. So does that add pressure to this situation?
No pressure, just more motivation because I know that where Golden Boy wants to take me and my manager wants to take me. So I know that this is a very important fight, and I can't go in there and take it easy on Andrew Cancio. I got to make sure that I'm 110%, and I'm going to go out there and give it my all. So come Saturday night, man, you guys are going to see a whole different Joseph Diaz in there. Not the nice guy that you guys are used to seeing smiling and stuff. I'm going to be on TV with a mean face and ready to take on Andrew Cancio because I know that he's going to try to dethrone me and take what's mine, and I'm not going to let that happen.
4 years ago, you were in London having Kevin Durant tell you that you got robbed at the Olympics. Then you were at the sports arena, the first fight in 2 in the afternoon. Now, 4 years later, the pay-per-view feature. How awesome is your career gone for you?
Oh, man, my career has been going tremendously. It's been moving progressively, and I just thank God for all these opportunities. It's been a dream come true. And, man, come Saturday night when I see all those fans there and everybody watching on pay-per-view, it's going to give me the butterflies, but once I'm inside the ring, it's all going to go away. And I just feel like Golden Boy, they're moving me just right.
And the plan that they're moving you at, you're right in line with it. The pace, the activity that you fought in your first 2 years, and the quality of opposition that you've been fighting in the last year, it's what you've wanted, not just your manager and Golden Boy promotion. So obviously, you're young. I mean, you're not even 25. You feel like you're ready to fight for a world title as soon as possible.
Yes, I do feel like I'm ready to fight for a world title shot, but like I said in previous interviews, that patience is the key and experience is the key as well. So I got to make sure that I'm 100% ready for all these elite fighters and 100% ready for all these tough fighters. And Saturday night, Andrew Cancio is a tough fighter, but I know that I'm ready for that because I fought tough fighters in my past and in my pro career. So experience is the key, and it's going to show come Saturday night.
And you're going to need tough fights when you move on to that title elimination bout and when you finally step in there to fight for a world title. Whether it's Gary Russell Jr. or somebody else, you're going to need these gut checks, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. And Saturday night is going to be another tough fight. It's going to give me more experience inside the ring, and it will get me ready for those tough fights because once I get that world title shot, I want to make sure I win that world title, and I'm going to make sure that I'm ready to defend it as well. So I want to make sure I have all the experience before I could win it and defend it.
2012 Olympian Joseph Diaz Jr. We are live on ringtv.com and also Snapchat. Check out the Golden Boy Snapchat, Instagram, Snapchat story. You actually taken over the Golden Boy Snapchat account. For people to follow you on your social media, what is it?
Yes, if you guys want to follow me on social media, my Twitter.
Don't tell them if. You're over here saying you're going to be mean. Tell them what to do.
All right, you guys follow me on my social media. Joseph Diaz Jr. on Twitter, Joseph Diaz Jr. on Facebook, Joseph Diaz Jr. on Instagram, and Snapchat Joseph Diaz with 2 Z's. I really appreciate it, guys.
2 Z's, because that other Joseph Diaz took it, huh?
Yeah, that's right. And I want to pay for it.
You don't want to pay for it. Check him out. Pay-per-view debut. Joseph Diaz Jr. South El Monte. The Teamsters Gym is where he grew up. He still trains there with his father, Joseph Sr. He is now 21-0, 12 KOs, coming off a knockout of Victor Proa. That'll be the second fight on the pay-per-view. Go to goldenboyppv.com, and you can get that pay-per-view on Saturday. Diego De Loya is in the ring right now getting interviewed by Tattoo.
Pound, but it seemed like Diego took over that Rocco Santamora fight and just left him looking bruised and really hurt. Diego, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo te sientes?
Me siento preparado, ya listos para que llegue sábado y que viva México.
¡Viva México! Diego, you could translate if you can. Diego, after getting past this win, it seems like you're climbing so fast. Does he feel the pressure right now on how fast his career is taking off?
¿Te sientes que tienes presión como tu carrera va escalando tan rápido?
Bueno, yo me siento ya listo. La verdad es que me he preparado muy bien cada pelea y esta pelea no es la excepción, ¿no? Primero Dios y vamos a ganar esta pelea.
How good?
He says that he prepares very well for every fight, and this is not an exception. He knows it's a big opportunity, so, preparation went well.
One more time on HBO pay-per-view on the undercard of Canelo. What's he bringing this Saturday?
Una vez más, en la cartelera de Canelo, pay-per-view, ¿qué vas a traer para este sábado?
Bueno, como todo mexicano, voy a tener los huevos bien puestos y vamos a ganar esta pelea.
He said, like every Mexican, I'm going to have my balls really on my hands, and I'm gonna give a great fight.
And that's what he does, and that's why he is pound for pound doing his thing right now, and he remains undefeated. You gotta love this kid. Diego de la Hoya!
A very animated Diego de la Hoya.
And a big...
Usually he's controlled with his words. I'm rubbing my chin trying to figure out if I can translate that here on ringtv.com. But, you know, you guys know. You're in Southern California. You speak boxeo. You know what's going on. Beto Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim. We're going to be joined by Diego de la Hoya moments away. And also Liam Smith from Liverpool will be making his way into the media center. And I think we're going – Diego's on stage. Are we taking Diego right now? And no, Diego, espérate, Diego. You ain't going anywhere. We'll be back with more with Diego de la Hoya on ringtv.com. That's the outside of the Gaylord Hotel and Resort in
available now, the new Tecate Bold Punch app. Experience the Canelo's meat fight like never before. During the fight, keep track of the action as your phone vibrates every time Canelo lands a bold punch. Also get exclusive behind-the-scenes video, photos, and live streams throughout Fight Week, only available on the Tecate Bold Punch app. Download now from the App Store for both Android and iPhone devices.
Canelo Smith, presented by Tecate, born bold. Download the new Tecate Bold Punch app from the App Store today for all kinds of behind-the-scenes coverage from Canelo Smith in Dallas, Texas. Back inside the media center at the Gaylord Texan Resort. There you see Tat over that shoulder working the crowd. Doug Fisher, he's sending tweets. He's checking them out. Use the hashtag GreenTV. Y Diego de la Hoya, who speaks zero English, right? Zero.
Puro español.
Mentiras. You're a liar, because I know you understand English. No. Diego de la Hoya, ¿cómo te sientes? How do you feel?
Me siento ya listos y bien preparados para que llegue el sábado. Ya estamos muy ansiosos para que llegue.
I'm ready and I'm anxious for Saturday to get here. ¿Cómo te fue este entrenamiento? How was your training camp with Jojo Diaz?
Bueno, fue 9 semanas de, de preparación y la verdad es que me siento mejor que nunca.
I feel better than ever.
Para demostrar a la gente lo que trae Diego de la Hoya.
To show the people what Diego de la Hoya has. ¿Qué esperas en esta pelea contra Orlandito del Valle? What do you expect against Orlando del Valle?
Es una pelea muy dura.
It's a hard fight.
Mucha experiencia tiene Orlando del Valle. Pero nosotros tenemos el hambre, más hambre que él, de llegar más alto.
And get there.
Y esta es la oportunidad para mí.
It's a big opportunity for you. La primera vez que estás en una cartelera de pay-per-view, donde estás en el pay-per-view. Antes has peleado con Canelo en el undercard, pero es diferente esta semana. First time you're on pay-per-view. How different is it this week?
Bueno, yo me siento, la verdad que primeramente le doy gracias a mi Golden Boy Promotion y a mi manager Joel de la Hoya por tenerme la confianza a mis 22 años y un mexicalense. Abrir un pago por evento es algo muy especial para mí.
It's special to be on pay-per-view. I want to thank my promotions, Golden Boy Promotions, and manager Joel de la Hoya to give him on here so special. La última pregunta, porque sé que te encanta hacer entrevistas. Last question, because I know you love interviews. This kid right here. Doug, you got anything for him?
Yeah, on paper, it looks like Orlandito is the toughest opponent of his career, and that's what people are saying. Does Diego agree?
Estás diciendo que Orlandito del Valle es el rival más difícil en tu carrera que vas a encontrar. ¿Crees eso?
Bueno, yo digo que todos rivales son muy duros, ¿no?
I say everybody is a tough fighter.
Pero él tiene la oportunidad. Él quiere aprovechar su oportunidad.
He wants to take advantage of going
eso yo no lo voy a dejar porque es mi momento de que la gente me conozca.
For the people to know. Porque hay gente que conoce el nombre, pero hay gente que no conocen el boxeo. There's people that know the name, but they don't know you. ¿Qué tipo de show vas a poner? What kind of show are you going to put on?
Bueno, voy a estar muy inteligente, como siempre mis peleas he dado. Y si se da la oportunidad de fajarnos como todo mexicano, yo lo voy a hacer. Y la verdad es que espero un Diego de la Hoya que salga con la mano en alto.
Expect that Diego de la Hoya comes out with his hand up high, is what he said towards the end, but he expects a tough fight. Y esto es una pelea, actually, sorry, Doug, you have another one?
Yeah, has he watched a lot of footage
¿Has mirado video
del
Valle?
And what does he expect from Del Valle?
Todas las peleas son diferentes.
Every fight's different.
Y creo que esta pelea él va a corregir sus errores.
And I think this fight he's going
Así
to
que
fix his errors in the past.
no mire videos de
But I
él.
didn't watch any of his videos.
Ahí en la pelea voy a resolver.
In the ring, I'm going to resolve what I need to do. You understood that, huh? You understood. ¿Sí entiendes?
I understand him. Yeah.
You're like those baseball players who act like they don't know any English. All of a sudden, esa es la última pelea. ¿Qué miras aquí? What do you see in your last fight?
Bueno, fue una gran pelea porque el rival estaba invicto, ¿no?
Yeah, he was undefeated.
Con un entrenador muy conocido como Shane Mosley. Y la verdad que decía que era Mosley de la Hoya 3. Pero yo demostré que mi campamento lo hice muy bien.
I was at a great camp for that one.
Y gracias a Dios se dio la victoria.
Okay. Thank God that I came out with the victory. Diego de la Hoya is the opening bout on Saturday. La primera pelea del pay-per-view contra Orlandito del Valle. ¿Qué orgullo tienes de ser la primera pelea de esta? What kind of pride are you taking this?
Una gran motivación y la verdad es que me siento muy contento porque me dieron la oportunidad esta y no la voy a desaprovechar.
Normalmente, cuando hablamos contigo de una semana de una pelea, no quieres hablar con nadie. Estás enojado.
No, pues.
No, deja acabar. Normally, when we talk to him during a fight week, he has that scowl. He doesn't want to talk. ¿Por qué te sientes diferente esta semana? Why do you feel different this week?
Bueno, yo digo que no soy yo, también son todos boxeadores, ¿no?
It's not just me, it's every boxer who doesn't want to talk.
Todos los boxeadores de la semana más difícil de un boxeador.
It's the toughest week out for every fighter.
Y la verdad es que solamente quiere estar enfocado en la pelea.
You just want to stay focused. Pero esta semana tienes la sonrisa. You have a smile this week.
No, porque la verdad que me siento muy bien preparado y 100%
really prepared, and 100%.
que en el campamento que es lo mejor de mí y creo que Dios se va a saber que me va a ayudar y sacar la victoria.
¿Este fue tu mejor campamento que has hecho? Was this your best camp? It was. All right. Diego de la Hoya, manda los saludos a todos los de Cachanilla, todos de Mexicali. Ahí están, te están mirando, manda los saludos.
Bueno, espero que Mexicali me apoye, como toda mi gente, todos mis fans, mis amigos, mi familia. Y espero en Dios que se dé la victoria.
Como dice atrás de la camisa Mexicali.
Al grito de guerra.
Al grito de guerra. Diego de la Hoya, check him out. ¿Qué es tu Twitter?
Diego de la Hoya.
Diego de la Hoya, that's all you need right now. He is the opening bout against Orlandito del Valle. Te están esperando más prensa. All the press is waiting for you. Go talk to him. We'll be back with more from the Gaylord Texan Resort in Dallas, Texas. I was going to say Houston. No, Canelo's following Houston. He's following San Antonio. Now he's doing the Texas Triangle in Dallas. We'll be back with more. Beth Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim on RingTV.com.
Available now, the new Tecate Bold Punch app. Experience the Canelo's meat fight like never before. During the fight, keep track of the action as your phone vibrates every time Canelo lands a bold punch. Also get exclusive behind-the-scenes video, photos, and live streams throughout Fight Week, only available on the Tecate Bold Punch app. Download now from the App Store for both Android and iPhone devices. Available now.
Alvarez is 26 with 50 fights. This will be his 50th fight.
There's not many things that put fear me or scare me. I was always in sales fighting in school and stuff like that.
Alvarez, golden boy, made a huge mistake here.
I think we'll have the right man to do the job and take the crown away from Saul Alvarez.
Yo quería ser boxeador desde la primera vez que vi pelear a mi hermano y es algo que me apasiona hasta el día de hoy.
Inside the media center for Canelo and Smith, and Canelo Smith is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Professional parts people, visit your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store today. I actually just went the other day. I need to get some new windshield wipers. You know, it's getting winter in Southern California, or fall, whatever it is. All I know, it is 90 degrees outside in Dallas, Texas. We are inside the media center at the Gaylord Texan Hotel and Resort in Grapevine, Texas, north of Dallas. I'm Bethel Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim. We're here all week long on ringtv.com. Make sure you use the hashtag ringtv, and we will check out your tweets. It'd be nice if you would have a Twitter name that we can say on the air.
Yeah, it's a family show. This is still a family show.
Yeah, it is
Come
boxing,
on.
but it's still a family show. But we do appreciate you, the name that's in Arkansas watching right now. We appreciate it. And also Sandra Cassis and all the nurses watching in the South Bay do appreciate it. So send us your tweets. Go to the Golden Boy Instagram and Snapchat page. And you can, especially the Instagram story, Janine and Brenda and everybody in the social media department are doing a great job getting it for you. We have cameras everywhere. And also the cameras were there on Sunday when Oscar De La Hoya and Jerry Jones were there for the kickoff for the Cowboy season. Saturday night, we are going to be in the AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys are out of town. It's Canelo and Liam Smith ready to come your way. Go to goldenboypayperview.com. And Gabriel Rosado and Liam Smith still need to make their way into the media center for their workouts and, of course, the cool sit-down with us. And Steve Kim, this week it's different in the sport of boxing because it's not Las Vegas. It's not where you can just go down to the hotel and you can see everybody around it. It's different. It has a different vibe, but close to 40,000 people are expected Saturday for Canelo and Smith.
You know, it's almost like going back to the future. I was here twice back in 2010 as when Manny Pacquiao christened the venue when it was a brand new venue for Jerry Jones at AT&T Stadium. And now it's really a changing of the guard. Oscar De La Hoya has been telling various media members we are now taking back certain weekends, Cinco de Mayo and also the Mexican Independence Day weekend, which have been dominated by other fighters. They believe now, moving on into the future, they have clearly planted their flag with Canelo Alvarez from this point forward being the biggest draw in North America.
It'll be the third time boxing is held at the AT&T Stadium. And before we went to break, I mentioned the Texas Triangle that normally basketball teams do it, where they go to Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. Now Canelo is going to have that on his belt.
That's true.
Because he's fought in Houston against Kirkland,
right.
San Antonio Trout, and here he's going to fight Liam Smith at Cowboys AT&T Stadium. I keep wanting to say Cowboy Stadium.
And he's done 30,000 plus.
That's another, okay.
All three times. And Texas is a very important market for boxing because there's a lot of talent here. There's tons of fans here, and in every city from El Paso to even Austin has hosted boxing and done well. But definitely San Antonio, Houston, and here the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington area.
Yeah, this is what I was going back to your mailbag. You had this whining fans and like, oh, he's going to Dallas. Oh, he's got to do this. Who's going to watch that fight? But for people who have a chance to never go to Vegas because it's too expensive for them, but if you're living in the Texas Panhandle or if you're down south or if you're in Oklahoma or Kansas, you can drive here and get a chance to see a fighter on the Canelo stage.
Folks who aren't used to getting world-class boxing, championship boxing, they're going to come from all parts of Texas. They're going to come from Louisiana. They're going to come from Arkansas. They're going to come from Oklahoma. They're going to show up. And I know that, and Steve knows that because we've covered other fights that Canelo has done here, and we talk to people, and they drive from even farther away.
I got one tweet saying Florida coming.
Right. And folks even come up from Mexico as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's a huge base also. Mexico coming up on this weekend. A lot of fans from Guadalajara, and also because we're in Texas, close to Monterrey, Nuevo Leon, where there's a lot of money in that area, a lot of Canelo fans who can just make the weekend trip. It's different, though. It's different than Vegas.
You know, I remember in 1998 when Oscar De La Hoya was the WBC welterweight champion, he had this really soft, mandatory defense. And it wasn't exactly Obakar or Maurice Blocker. He had
Patrick
to face.
Charpentier.
And it was Charpentier. And I remember Bob Arum at that point had a conundrum. Where do you put this perceived or reality rematch and actually draw? And he actually went to the Sun Bowl, and he drew 48,000. Right. One of the great advantages of going to a non-casino venue, specifically outside of Las Vegas, is that your price points for your tickets can be much more affordable. Doug, we've said this for years. We've written about it. You don't generally get $40 tickets in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand or Mandalay Bay. Now, I've been to every Texas fight that Canelo has done the last couple of years. I remember when he faced Austin Trout at the Alamo Dome. I think they had about 48,000 for that one.
And that is a huge venue.
I remember when he fought last year James Kirkland at the house of Jeff Bagwell. Minute Maid Park. I think there was about 31,000. And the expectation is from the local promoter who's done events years. He's the guy that actually talked Don King into doing Chavez Whitaker, where there's 500,000 people, 1993. Name is Lester Bedford. And I talked to him 2 weeks ago. He said the expectation is they will draw at least 40,000 on Saturday night.
That's what they're expecting. That's what the plan is for at AT&T Stadium, 40,000. And it's going to be Canelo and Smith as your pay-per-view main event. It's going to open up with Diego De La Hoya, then Joseph Diaz Jr., the co-feature Gabriel Rosado against Willie Monroe Jr. And Gabriel Rosado sat down with our Ring TV cameras.
There was nothing controversial in my last fight. I won. Tough guy. Tony Gutierrez, he just won his last fight. I think this is the fight that I definitely have to make people that maybe are doubting me believe that, you know what, this guy really got what it takes to beat the world champions in the division. You know, and I think this is that opportunity. And I think that's what I definitely want to prove in this fight, that I'm a different fighter.
And there he is, King Gabe Rosado, trained by the ferocious one, Fernando Vargas from Philadelphia, now living, there you see Feroz, now living in Southern California as he and Fernando Vargas, former world champion, who he had a great battle with Oscar De La Hoya, is now a trainer, has his own gym, Feroz Fight Factory in Las Vegas, but Rosado lives in Southern California, so that's where they're at. And here's the last fight against fellow Golden Boy fighter Tony Gutierrez. That was at the StubHub Center in June on the, that went 10 rounds, the distance. Rosado got clipped a couple times.
Oh, yeah, he even went down. It was a hard fight. I believe Rosado won by a close unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Basically, he had to rely on his experience and ring savvy. He couldn't stand and trade with the younger, busier fighter. And so we saw some of that savvy. You see the moving, picking his shots when to land, making his punches count. It was a very entertaining fight.
You know, guys, the one thing that I really wonder about Gabe Rosado, given the fact in his own mind and heart, he thought he had the fight with Billy Joe Saunders. And in fact, him and Fernando came to the wild card about 2 months ago, and they were planning to rent out the downstairs portion of that gym. And they had told me in private, we have the title fight for the WBO crown against Saunders. Now, that when that was pulled away, I think naturally everyone's a human. You might have a psychological and mental letdown, and now you're facing a relatively difficult style in Willie Monroe. I just wonder, Doug, can a guy who's thinking to himself, I'm fighting for the world title, get up for Willie Monroe?
I think he can. At least he sounds that. He's talking that talk. He sounds animated, and maybe that's why he's kind of made this matchup personal. It got contentious between him, mostly on his side during the media conference calls. Right.
Well, you know, if the fight is as good as the conference call that they had for the media, move over Salido Vargas.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a barn burner, but it's definitely competitive and definitely difficult on paper, particularly for Rosado, who actually likes it when guys bring the fight to him. He's got a lot of heart, but I think he knows he can't afford to lose at this stage of his career. He's suffered too many setbacks, and the reason he still has his stature within the sport is, you know, he's entertaining. He's got a great personality, kind of got that little sort of rock star vibe going. He was in the Creed movie and did pretty well with that. But I think people realize, they look at the strength of his schedule, and they look like, okay, yeah, you lost, but it was to David Lemieux. It was to Gennady Golovkin. It was to Peter Quillen. He doesn't lose to chumps.
He was also Leo the Lion Sperino in the Creed movie after he was that. And Gabriel Rosado from Philadelphia, Puerto Rican roots, 23-9, 13 KOs. But he learned on the job. Only 11 amateur fights, and he turned pro right before his 20th birthday. No real amateur experience. Learned as he was going. Basically, as he said, because he needed to make some money. So that's what he was doing, finding those club shows in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He just had the natural talent. But this is a fighter, when you just type in Gabe Rosado, there's no middle ground with him. Fight fans either call him names because of his record, or other fight fans are like, you know what? We know what we're going to get from him. He's lost 9 times, but as you mentioned it, he comes to fight. He's not going to run. He's a scrap with you. It'll probably be a bloody fight, but he's going to be entertaining.
Well, against Golovkin, it was his blood. Lots of blood. But here's the thing, and real fight fans realize this. He didn't quit. He refused to quit. I mean, the corner had to throw the towel in because his face was literally falling apart. And against Peter Quillen, and even in spots against David Lemieux, he was competitive. You got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and Beto, my favorite online moniker that they've given him is the Gatekeeper. And that's exactly
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
And that's exactly what he's going to become if he can't beat Willie Monroe. This is almost an all-or-nothing opportunity, given the fact, I spoke about this earlier, the winner of this fight could be getting Canelo in December. So in many respects, this is a Saul Alvarez eliminator. But you're right, Doug. I do believe with the record of 23-9, even though he's only 30 years old, he's perceived to be a little bit older, a lot of wear and tear. Odometer is pretty high. I do think out of those two, Monroe and Rosado, for Rosado, in my opinion, I think it's a must-win situation.
Absolutely.
They'll be fighting at 160 pounds come Saturday. Gabriel Rosado, Willie Monroe Jr. And when you look at Gabriel Rosado in his career, he's bounced around with different trainers. He's had times where he had camps in Puerto Rico. He finally found a home with Fernando Vargas. And it all started because he went to Las Vegas training for a fight against Claudia because he needed to work out. Went to Fernando's gym. Fernando did mitts for him, and then a relationship was born from there, and then they haven't looked back since. It'll be their 3rd fight together, so it's still fighter and trainer getting used to each other.
You know, I think for Fernando Vargas and Rosado, it's an interesting relationship. I often wonder who needs who worse. I actually did a story on Fernando Vargas a couple of years ago for his reality show that was, I believe, on a Spanish network.
Yeah.
And he basically said retiring at the age of 27 after his loss to Ricardo Mayorga in 2007, he was such a young man. He was a wayward soul. He really was. I think his personal life was in flux. He didn't know what he was going to do the rest of his life. And I think in many ways, guys, he's found salvation right back to the same venue that actually gave him his stardom, boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could tell, you know, in his late 20s, right after his retirement, he was heavy.
Yeah.
He was not taking care of himself. And a lot of people were worried about his health. Had he continued on that path, and I think going back to his roots and training young fighters, because he doesn't just train professionals.
Yeah.
Most of his stable in Vegas at the Ferocious Factory.
Feroz Fight Factory,
Yeah, the Feroz Fight Factory. They're amateurs. They're kids.
Yeah.
So he's not just training. He's teaching, and I think that's really enlivened his soul. And he's taking better care of himself.
He was, as he would say, out of control in the 805. Got out of Boxnard, went to Las Vegas, just picked up and changed routes, and there he is in Vegas. Started that gym because he was training his kids. His older son, I believe, is ready to turn pro soon. But you're right. He only has one other professional fighter, as a young kid with only 3 pro fights. But most of those kids that he has are teenagers, young kids, who you see Fernando more at the amateur tournaments than you would see him in Las Vegas at the pro fights. And you're right. Could he have saved his life? Maybe. But he seems like a happier soul. If you follow Fernando's Instagram, you know that he's trying to work out. As he says, I'm trying to work out right now.
He's no longer heavy V.
But he doesn't have to be.
No, he doesn't have to be. And the one thing is he loves to do it. And Larry Merchant taught me something a long time ago as it related to athletes, specifically boxers. There's 2 deaths that athletes go through. One is as an athlete and one is as a person. And he often said the one as an athlete was much more difficult to deal with.
Much more difficult to deal with. That's every professional athlete.
Yeah.
It's, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to go to camp.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't have to go spring training. Hey, now I actually have to be a dad and a husband. Now I guess you got to do things.
Beto, you know what's interesting? And I know you deal with many more pro athletes than I do. How many guys have you seen as they walk away from the sport, you're at the press conference to say goodbye, they say, I can't wait to spend more time with the wife and family. And then about 3 months, they're like, oh, my God, I don't want to spend any more time with the wife and family.
It has to do more with...
Not you, though, Doug. Not you.
No. I want to spend more time with my family, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. My family doesn't want me here. Gabe Rosado and Tattoo are in the ring. Tom Hogan taking the pictures. You see King Gabe Rosado. Look at Mike over there with that fancy camera for Golden Boy. Go and check out the Golden Boy Instagram page, YouTube, and Facebook pages all week long. Even look right there. Look at that sweet Golden Boy Media and Entertainment shirt right there in the black, right next to Fernando. Man, you should see the jacket our director Will has. Ooh wee! My goodness. Only one of those made for the vice president. Everybody else bunking up twice, 3 people in one room here in Dallas. There you see the fans catching some gear. It's going to get more crowded all week long. Right, Luis? It's going to be crowded right here. Panda, the director. Let's throw it to Tat.
You fight fans that are here, but to everybody that's watching right now on the ringtv.live, I had a chance to speak with Willie Monroe Jr. And, he was in here doing his thing, and I did speak to him about, I spoke with Gabe, and Gabe has nothing nice to say about you. The guy doesn't want to see you in hallways. He doesn't want to see you in elevators. He does not like you, and he's here to put in work on Saturday. His words to you were, God bless you. How do you feel about that, Gabe?
I'm going to show it in the ring. He said some things that I took personally, and
how did this all start, Gabe? If just how did this come about?
It's just, I thought that, you got to show some respect when somebody pays their dues and works hard and been fighting on the big stage for a while. And I just felt like he just talked a little reckless, and, I just want to put him in his place. I feel like he's a fraud, and I'm going to expose him.
Usually people get, like, beef on Twitter, and they can't handle it. Like, this is actually a Twitter beef that can get handled.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'd whoop his ass on the elevator if I saw him on the elevator.
Ooh.
But, my team gonna hold me back. They told me don't mess our money up, God. But we gonna handle it in the ring.
And after you get through with Willie Monroe Jr., Gabe, you've fought Triple G's, David Lemieux, Kid Chocolate, world champions, man. I truly believe in the boxing world. You have definitely earned more than a co-main event. And this could be, we see the main event, Liam Smith versus Canelo. What's next after Willie Monroe? Is there a possibility to face a Canelo Alvarez or maybe think of that fight in the future for yourself?
I'm actually just enjoying the moment. So, like, it's hard to think about anything else because I'm enjoying the moment. I'm enjoying Texas. I'm enjoying the fans. I'm excited to fight in Dallas. So it's like, it's so much going on, so much excitement going on that I'm not even thinking about Canelo and Smith. I'm excited to put on a show. I want to steal the show. A lot of talk is about me and Willie, and people feel it's a big fight, so I just want to steal the show.
Undefeated with Fernando Vargas. How's everything, the camp been? How do you feel?
Oh, camp went great. Me and Feroz, we're undefeated together. We plan on going 3-0. We are going to go 3-0 on the 17th, and we're just getting better together, man, and the chemistry is great, and we're working hard every day in the gym.
And that's why, man, you're doing big things. Also, congratulations on Creed, man. I know it's on demand right now, so everybody that's watching, they can go ahead and pop on demand and check you out in the movie Creed. And this Saturday, live on HBO pay-per-view, our co-main event, King Gabriel Rosado takes on middleweight Willie Monroe Jr. It's about to go down. Feroz Fernando Vargas in the corner. You're watching the ringtv.live. Thank Gabe. Appreciate it. King Gabriel Rosado!
Tattoo doing his thing with the fighters in the ring. Bethel Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Kim, led by Panda and Will Wright. David and Scott Tetro, Vice President and Executive Vice President of Golden Boy Media and Entertainment. Steve Rozzo in Houston. Thanks for the tweet. Don't get in trouble at work. When you're working at the refineries in Houston, I know you're on your lunch break, but you don't need to tweet us twice.
Yeah, jeez.
And take care of the refineries in Houston. He's coming up to the fight. That's another thing we're talking about. The fans who are in the Texas area coming up to the fight. We're going to be joined by Gabriel Rosado moments away. And
one thing, guard the elevators. Guard the elevators. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that surprised me a little bit. That's saying
not
that.
really Rosado's style. I mean, he'll talk, but not something like that.
Right.
Where did that stem from? Did I miss something?
I wonder if it's like a Philadelphia rivalry, given the fact Gabe's from the city of brotherly love. Willie Monroe's father was part of that really tough era of Benny Briscoe, Cyclone.
That was his great uncle.
Right, great uncle.
Right. Willie Monroe Jr. First man to beat Marvin Hagler.
But you know what? Fighter's pride is a good thing. I got to be honest with you. When I see football players changing jerseys, playing catch with each other, opposite, I'm not like that.
After the game, you don't like it?
No, I really don't.
But if somebody gave you a Canes jersey?
I'm not playing for Florida State
But
either.
if you were playing for Florida State and they gave you a Kings jersey?
I don't think I'd take it.
Yeah,
I'll be
you
honest.
would. Because they didn't recruit you, you'd be mad.
But you know what? I actually think that this fight, I think there's a lot on the. I think Gabe, the way his mentality is for this fight, is I think he realizes this is a must-win situation, though. If he wins, he goes on to bigger and better things.
I like it.
If he loses, I really do think to a certain degree at this level, this is his last
Steve,
fight.
I don't want to hear a guy going into a big fight, a crossroads fight, saying, well, I've had a good career and I'm thinking about retirement, because that lets you know they're not going to give 100%. I like that Marvin Hagler. Remember we used to have the hat that said war on it? And people would ask him about the fight, and he'd just say destroy and destruct. I like that.
Yeah,
as a fan, I want that mentality in my fighters.
When fighters make comments to that ilk, it really means they have one foot out the door.
But when they say, I would kick his butt in the elevator, what does that mean?
That means you should watch the fight.
They're still in it.
And the pay-per-view, goldenboypayperview.com. If you're a cord cutter, it'll be available on your phone, iPad, computer, whatever it is you want to do. You can also get the normal HBO pay-per-view for your home. But we have options, Golden Boy Media and Entertainment, bringing you different opportunities to watch Canelo Smith on Saturday from AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. We'll be back with more from Dallas, Texas on ringtv.com.
Alvarez is 26 with 50 fights. This will be his 50th fight.
There's not many things that put fear me or scare me. I was always the sales fighting in school and stuff like that.
Alvarez, golden boy, made a huge mistake here.
I think we'll have the right man to do the job and take the crown away from Saul Alvarez.
Yo quería ser boxeador desde la primera vez que vi pelear a mi hermano y es algo que me apasiona hasta el día de hoy.
As Gabriel Rosado is taking pictures for his Snapchat, Janine is putting it up on the Snapchat and Instagram, and Canelo Smith is brought to you by Adriana's Insurance. The insurance you need at a price you can afford. Go to adrianasinsurance.com for your quote today. Back inside the media center at the Gaylord Hotel and Resort in Grapevine, Texas. That's where we're at. Beto Duran, Doug Fisher, and now joined by Gabriel Rosado. You can post your Snapchat. Go ahead, man. You got we're digital here, baby. You got to do it all. So post your snap. I'll talk to Doug, and we'll take care of everything. Gabriel Rosado is our guest right now. The co-feature takes on Willie Monroe Jr. Go to goldenboypayperview.com to get that fight for Saturday. Gabe, the co-feature, how cool is it? Just to be on this card, but let alone a big opportunity for you.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm extremely excited. Just enjoying the moment, enjoying Texas. And, you know, everybody keeps talking about, you know, this fight, this possibility you'll be fighting the winner of Canelo Smith. And I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just actually in the moment, focused on Willie, man. And this is a big stage, man, so I'm excited.
And Willie calls himself El Mongoose because he says he's crafty, intelligent, aggressive. He does have a versatile style, and he does look like a really good athlete. How do you contain a style like that and impose your will on that style?
Well, he's done that against limited competition. You know, he's done that against, his last fight was a guy who I don't think was, no disrespect to who he fought, but I don't think the guy was, you know, a world-class level guy. And I think the second half of the fight, he averaged about 27 punches around. You know, that's a guy that you should take out of there, take him out, you know, or overwhelm him. But he was content with just doing enough to get the win. So that right there shows me that he don't got dog in him.
He has 2 losses in his career. You have 9, but you look at the 9 that you've had, the names just stand out. Nobody else in your division has taken on the monsters you've taken on. Why do you take on those fights?
Well, you know, it's just my mentality. I'm a Philadelphia fighter, and I grew up in a gym where you sparred the top guys, and you got your ass beat, and you came back the next day, and you kept on working with the guy. I remember being an amateur, I was sparring the top pros in Philadelphia. bad fighters, man. I was sparring Bernard Hopkins when I was an amateur. And
why?
So, yeah, well, that's the way it is in Philly. So when I went into the pro game, it was just that's all I knew. That's the way my trainer at the time brought me up, and that's all I knew.
Beto, you mentioned that Gabe only had 11 amateur
Yeah.
fights.
11 amateur
so
fights.
those sparring sessions
Yeah.
basically take the place of that amateur experience. That was your education
Exactly.
sparring with Bernard Hopkins.
Learning as a pro. And then we had a great run. We had a run where I went, I believe, 9-0 and got ranked #1 in the junior middleweight division. And I was against top competition, knocking out Soto Carraz, Sagoon Powell. You know, these are top guys. And,
Yeah, you went Carras, Powell, Whitaker.
Yeah, and then we
all
moved,
TKOs.
Yeah, and then we moved up and we fought
Triple G.
Gennady, and from there it was Kid
look,
Chocolate
Gabe,
and
in 1 year, 2013. I'm looking at your fight. Look, you look at this.
yeah, I know it's
Look at it.
ridiculous.
But look at the name though. I know you went in there. Triple G, Love, Quinlan, Charlo, David Lemieux, back to back to back to back to back.
And the Love fight should have been a
the thing
victory.
is, the Love fight,
Exactly.
obviously people felt that it was a fight that I won.
A lot of people did.
It got overruled.
Yeah, no decision because he tested positive.
Even the Peter Quillen, you know, I was up on the commentators card. They had me all up on the card. I felt that I was on my way to a decision or even possibly knocking out Kid. But, you know, it is what it is. They stopped the fight on a cut. I think I was cut worse against in the Triple G fight. But it is what it is. You know, you move on. I think those type of fights is what makes the fans drawn towards me. You know, they see me in these blood and gut type of fights, and it's entertaining, and they want to see me, man. So, but we're looking to dominate this fight. I feel that Willie hasn't faced the competition I have, and I think he looks good against the competition he's fought. But when he fought a world-class fighter for the first time in Triple G, he got cut off. The ring was cut off quickly on him. And the only reason I believe Triple G was getting hit with shots was because Triple G didn't respect his power and could care less of getting hit. He just wanted to land big blows.
Joined by Gabriel Rosado. He's a co-feature against Willie Monroe Jr. Saturday night from the AT&T Stadium, the home of the Cowboys. He's an Eagles fan, so you're wearing the Eagles jersey? You told me last week you weren't.
I'm not doing that,
You're
man.
not doing it?
I want to make it out. I want to make it out alive.
You got one big thing to worry about. That's Willie Monroe. They're the
Willie
Cowboy
Monroe.
fans.
Yeah.
But when you look at your career and the way it's going, 23-9, we were talking about this up here. Your record, if you lose 10 fights, that just sounds bad. Your opponents will be different. You go to a different level. Do you understand that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's why I made a dramatic change where I said, you know what, man, I was with the same trainer for 10 years. We had our good run together. It was hard to leave him because it was like a family relationship. But I said, man, if I have to take this to the next level, and I knew I had to find someone with experience, and that's why I went to Fernando. And as you can see, you know, we pulled off a victory against Clottey. We didn't look our sharpest, but it was our first fight together against a crafty former world champion. Like, no one looks good against Clottey, not even Pacquiao. So, you know, we won that fight. We beat Antonio Gutierrez, who's a tough young kid who just won his last fight. And I think this is the fight where everything's going to come together, where me and Fernando is really flowing, and the chemistry is great. And I'm 162 this morning. I'm already, my weight is great.
And it's Tuesday.
Yeah, and I'm excited because, you know, I was able to eat breakfast, and being that I'm cutting the weight so good, I'll have the energy that I need to put on a great performance.
Steve Kim mentioned that you and Fernando actually thought that you guys had landed that WBO title shot against Billy Joe Saunders for this card. Obviously, Billy Joe had other ideas. Was there any sort of mental letdown after that fight falling out and then making this fight with Willie Monroe?
No, it was kind of difficult because we did sign the contract. We were ready. We were
you signed your side.
I signed the contract.
Side.
We were ready. I had the sparring partners. We were training for about 3 weeks already in camp, getting ready for him. And then next thing you know, we hear that he pulls out, and it was devastating because I felt like, oh man, I guess I'm out of the card because you know, what are they gonna do? And you know, Golden Boy told me, they said, look, Gabe, if Billy Joe doesn't take the fight, then he's out of the card and you're still on. So okay. So then we waited for about a week, and they gave me 3 opponents, and I said, man, just whoever it is, just give me the fight. Let's make it happen.
And that's going to happen Saturday night. Gabriel Rosado with his trainer, Fernando Vargas, 3rd time in the ring together. He takes on El Mongoose Willie Monroe Jr. And they got heated. Where is this stemming from?
Oh, it's just, I just don't like his approach and his attitude of just, it's just. I feel like he just didn't show me no respect.
He was dismissive in his attitude. Yeah.
You know, just having an attitude like he's such a big shot, and it's like no one. First of all, I don't play this game of I'm Gabriel Rosado. I don't care if you know me, you know me. If you don't, you don't. It is what it is. But in the boxing where I'm known, I'm respected, and he just kind of downplayed me, and that kind of turned me off. So, you know, I respect all fighters, but once you start talking to me in a disrespectful manner, it gets personal.
You were on the Golden Boy Snapchat. You said you're going to knock him out.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what you're looking for.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I give you my word right now that the fight ends in a knockout. I guarantee it.
Look, I'm writing it down right here.
I guarantee it.
So you're looking for that for Saturday?
I'm not looking for it. It's going to happen. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Gabriel Rosado.
If I don't knock him out cold, he'll quit. He'll quit.
There it is. Get that pay-per-view for Saturday. Gabriel Rosado and Willie Monroe.
This is not the same guy that fought Antonio. This is my approach in this fight is to kill. You're going to see a different guy this time, a different guy.
That's the voice of Gabriel Rosado. You'll see him Saturday. Go to the pay-per-view, goldenboypayperview.com. Buy it for Saturday. Mano a Mano is coming up, voiced by the legend and Hall of Famer Michael Buffer. And that's Liam Smith, Canelo Alvarez, next on ringtv.com.
If ever there was a pedigree of thoroughbred prize fighters, the Alvarezes of Guadalajara, Mexico, and the Smiths of Liverpool, England, could rightfully claim to be progenitors of some of the best boxing stock on the planet. Among them, there are two sons who represent the very best of their bloodlines. Champions Saul of the Alvarezes and Liam of the Smiths.
And Liam Smith is champion of the world.
Now, an epic stage has been set. AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas.
I can picture on September 17th all the screaming fans, you know, the big, huge monitor we have there in the background. I can picture the ring right in the center of the 50-yard line. It's going to be spectacular.
On September 17th, two chosen sons, Saul Canelo Alvarez and Liam Beefy Smith, will bring with them a combined lineage of 11 professional fighters, 225 total wins, 145 knockouts, and 4 world champions.
Lovely combination and then a big right-hand finish.
Just as this date in Dallas will mark the anniversary of Mexican independence, it will also mark a significant milestone in the storied career of that country's favorite son. The 26-year-old Canelo will be fighting in his 50th professional fight. His amazing run got jump-started by his fighting brothers at age 13 and has been guided every step of the way by Eddie and Chepo Reynoso. And so, the biography of a champion begins.
Yo no lo conocía a su hermano, pero él sí nos conocía. Buscaba a quien entrenar a Saúl y él creyó que era la mejor opción, o sea, la mejor escogernos a nosotros porque estábamos dando muy buenos resultados en el boxeo.
Yo quería ser boxeador desde la primera vez que vi pelear a mi hermano y es algo que me apasiona hasta el día de hoy. Él fue poco a poco pasando obstáculos, ganándole a buenos boxeadores, adquiriendo un nivel boxístico que lo fue llevando hasta donde está.
The special partnership between Canelo and the Reynosos was most recently tested this past May, as Alvarez faced off with 3-time world champion Amir Khan. The result? A spectacular 6th-round knockout. Alvarez recorded the 33rd knockout of his career and cemented his position at the top of the sport.
Amir Khan was beating Canelo Alvarez every round before he knocked him out. Well, guess what Canelo did? He had to adjust his game plan.
Todo lo que se hace en la pelea lo planeamos, lo trabajamos en el gimnasio, por eso es que sale natural. Ese era el plan, las fintas es una base importante en el boxeo y siempre tratamos de trabajarlas para que salgan en la pelea y todo fue parte del trabajo que hicimos durante 2 meses y medio aquí en el gimnasio.
Canelo's performance against Khan has led him to the biggest stage of his career, AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas.
and Canelo Smith Saturday, AT&T Stadium. And there he is, Liverpool's own Liam Beefy Smith making his way. I haven't seen that brand since the French Open in the late 80s.
Elise.
Is that how you said it?
That's the way I said it.
It sounds good to me, Elise. That was where's Boris Becker when you need him right now? Liverpool's own 23-0-1, 13 KOs, fighting in the United States for the first time in his career, going across the pond, Liam Beefy Smith, who holds a belt in the 160-pound division, or 154-pound division. We've talked to so many middleweights getting that mixed up. There you see in the last fight. That was actually against Robert Talarek in early 2015. And Smith, there you see in the white trunks, has 13 KOs, comes from a fighting family. Brothers Paul, Stephen, and Callum Smith, highly touted amateur. Won all the belts you can think of in England.
And Beto, you mentioned this first fight stateside, and I think that is a variable. We've seen a lot of fighters here in the past, Doug, no matter how good they are. I've always thought that that's interesting when for the first time in your career, especially in the biggest fight that you've had, you're the road fighter in a foreign continent or foreign environment. It can make a difference in a fight.
Yeah, and we've seen it happen to fighters from overseas that are more experienced and were held in a higher regard than Liam Smith. I remember there was a really good Japanese fighter, a junior featherweight champ, Nishioka, I believe, who came, and the first time he fought in the United States against Nonito Donaire, wasn't quite himself.
Scott Quigg also walking in with Liam Smith. There you see Bernardo Osuna and the rest of the media surrounding the ring. Smith, saw him walking around the resort yesterday, very calm, cool with his team, very approachable lad. Fans were going up to him and taking pictures with him.
You know, even though this is his first official fight in the States, he's had a bit of a history out here in America. Him and Joe Gallagher and the rest of that camp has visited the Wild Card Boxing Club.
Oh, they have.
And actually did a tour of all the gyms in Southern California getting sparring. So from that perspective, he's dipped his toe into the water. He's been in there with good fighters, and he comes from a fighting family. But I do wonder, though, Saturday night when there's 40,000 plus, big lights, and you're not just in an arena, you are on in an incredible stage, this huge stadium. Again, I've seen fighters, good ones, freeze at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. No, it happens.
Expecting 40,000 on Saturday at AT&T Stadium, the home of the Dallas Cowboys, who are on the road, because Saturday night will be the third professional boxing match inside that stadium. Liam Smith, Liverpool, England, born July 28th, 1988, turned pro in 2008. And one thing that, just reading the British papers, Smith was going over and over and over this weekend because of Kell Brook going up 2 classes of weight to take on Triple G. He said, no, I'm taking on Canelo in my weight. Most of his career has been at 154. There was a couple where he was 158 early on, but it's been 153, 153, 154 the last couple. He said, I have an advantage because I make this weight easy.
Again, I go back to that stat. If you look at Canelo Alvarez from a technical standpoint, even though he may have been a middleweight, honestly, it was really trying to be junior middleweight +1. Four of his last 5 fights were at 155. The last time he was a legitimate junior middleweight was September of 2013 against Floyd Mayweather. Now, we go through this a lot, Doug, and I'm sure you get a lot of emails. People always say, it's just 1 pound. People, it's just 1 pound when you have about 17, 18% body fat like the normal human being. With these professional athletes, as finely tuned as they are, and with the way they stretch and cut weight, those last pounds are the toughest.
Absolutely. They're already at their limit, and it doesn't matter if it's 1 pound or 1 ounce. If you pass that threshold, it's the difference from being on weight and being sick, physically ill. And you can hurt yourself trying to make a weight that your body is just no longer able to make.
You can't lose something you don't have.
Right.
You can't spit out water which is not in your body.
That's a good way to put it.
What's that old saying? You can't suck blood from a stone.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see. Every hotel has a sauna. They have a fitness center, and you always get a harbinger of which fighters are going to have problems during weigh-in Because we're there all the time. We use those same facilities. Guys that are in the plastics, guys that are working late at night, and guys that use the sauna, those guys usually a little bit of a red flag to them.
Yeah, they're drying out.
And the Gaylord Texan Resort has a very nice sauna. I didn't see Smith wasn't in there yesterday, but it's I used
luxury sauna.
Oh, they give you a robe, you get slippers. They take care of you, baby. They take care of you. And you mentioned Canelo, Steve, when he fought Mayweather, he fought that one at 152.
Right.
But that was in 2013. 4 of his last 5 fights have been at 155 for Canelo. Kirkland, he was at 154. And he looked great when he stopped Kirkland in the 3rd round.
I'll say this. You bring up Kirkland, a very aggressive fighter. I think Liam Smith is the best technical aggressive fighter that Canelo has faced. I'll say the best aggressive junior middleweight than he's faced. He's been in there with some big, strong junior middleweights like Kirkland, like Alfredo Angulo. They didn't have the fundamentals and the technique that Beefy Smith has.
Is that Smith style? He's aggressive, come at you?
Yes, but he's not reckless. He applies subtle and intelligent pressure, but he does come forward. He works behind a very stiff jab and a high guard, and once he's in range, when he's mid-range or inside, you see the combinations, you see the body punches.
And Steve, when we look at his record, you guys have taught me this working with you the last couple of years. When somebody is undefeated, you have to look at their opponent, the quality. Smith, 23-0. What about the quality of opponents he's taken on?
Quite frankly, it's not all that deep. John Thompson was a bit of a physical nightmare because he's a tall, lanky guy, and his 2 title defenses have been the obligatory 2 soft title defenses to kind of kick off your reign. But with that said, I do think that Smith's experience in the gym at places like Wildcard is going to prove invaluable here. I asked Freddie Roach over the weekend, do you believe that Liam Smith as a legitimate 154 poses a much daunting challenge than Amir Khan at 155? And he says absolutely. He actually thinks Liam Smith could actually pull the upset this weekend, Freddie Roach.
The pay-per-view Saturday, goldenboyppv.com or goldenboypayperview.com. If you're a cord cutter and you don't want to watch it on your TV, boom, there it is. Get it on your computer. Online pay-per-view brought to you by Golden Boy Media and Entertainment Department, and you will be able to watch Canelo and Liam Smith. Phone, tablet, whatever it is you use to check out these fights. Gabriel Rosado, Willie Monroe Jr., Joseph Diaz Jr., Andrew Cancio, and Diego de la Hoya, Luis Orlandito del Valle. That is the pay-per-view portion of the fight, though. At 2:30 Central Time, Cowboy time, you can check out the ringtv.com live stream. That gets going with the British Anthony Yarde, then Alexis Salazar. Then it's Zachary Ochoa from Brooklyn, New York. Dallas, Texas' own 18-year-old phenom, and this kid is someone to keep an eye on. Virgil Ortiz. Then from San Antonio, another highly touted Golden Boy fighter, 19-year-old Hector Tanajara Jr., his stablemate Joshua Franco also on the card. And from Brooklyn with Yemen roots, Saddam Ali. All that coming to you from Cowboy Stadium. Yes, I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, but it just sounds so cool to say Cowboy Stadium, the home of Leon Lett. Not this one, but this is where Dak Prescott is making a name for himself. And we'll be there Saturday all week long. Make sure to go and check out the Golden Boy YouTube page. Behind-the-scenes coverage. There you see a girl right there with the Apple phone. That's Janine. All the information from that phone is on the Snapchat. It's on the YouTube. It's on the Instagram. They are taking care of you right there. Janine Garcia, boom, right there. Yeah, look at us zoom in. Smiling because you don't even know you're on TV. Oh, you do know you're on TV. All right, there you go.
Janine knows where the cameras are. Come
on. I don't know who you're pointing me at, but I think there's people down there. Okay, who's the guy in the blue, Steve?
That is Joe Gallagher.
That
is the trainer.
Ring Magazine's Trainer of the Year for 2015.
And he probably has more big-name fighters out of the UK than any trainer. His other notable clients include Scott Quigg and Anthony Corolla, who September 24th takes on Jorge Linares in what is a very, very highly anticipated lightweight battle.
Yeah, that's going to the atmosphere inside Manchester Arena is going to be insane for that fight.
Doug, you talked about the way Liam Smith fights. He is aggressive, but I would call it a measured aggression, because one thing he does do, you talk about the high guard, it's almost like his version of Winky Wright. He does a lot of catch and counter.
Winky Wright?
Yeah, and he kind of waits for you to throw his punches to let his own punches go. I think he's got to understand one thing. He does not have the home canvas advantage here. It's going to be very tough to win close rounds. He's probably not going to outbox Canelo. I think for him to win this fight, he's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive, come out of his shell, and not play so much catch and counter this weekend.
I agree 100%. Steve, even on his home soil in his title-winning effort against John Thompson, he was trailing on the scorecards. But it's I call it subtle pressure. A guy that we know very well, a trainer, the trainer of Julian Williams, the bread man.
Stephen Edwards,
he called it psychological pressure because it stresses out his opponents, even as they are maybe outpointing him. But it does eventually catch up to his opponents, because once he is in range, he is destructive. But I agree with you 100%. He's going to have to step up. It can't be psychological pressure alone. It's got to be physical pressure, and his activity is going to have to be higher.
You know, and one thing that I really believe, and I asked this of Dewey Cooper, the trainer of Jesse Vargas, I think when you're in a situation like this, as the decided B-side against the marquee name, you have to go in understanding one thing. There really are no moral victories. That to pull the upset, to shock the world, you have to be a bit of a kamikaze. Just don't be concerned or be satisfied with saying, well, I went the distance. Well, that's a recipe to lose 9 rounds to 3. I think from the very beginning, Joe Gallagher, unlike the Scott Quick fight against Carl Frampton, he's got to be that jockey that goes to the whip early and often.
Steve Kim's, Doug Fisher, Bethel Duran, led by Will Wright and Panda directing. We're at the Gaylord Hotel and Resort in Dallas, Texas. And Luis, always want me to say your name, Luis, but they don't ever tell me your last name, so I can't give you credit.
Gonzalez.
But I'm pretty sure it's going to be something with starts with the last name of G. So we'll go with that. Luis G. Julio G. I used to listen to him. Of course, it's Luis Gonzalez. I know you do great work at the Dodgers. Everybody on the crack staff with the Ring TV side doing excellent work for you. As I was saying, go to the YouTube page. Everything will live there. If you want to check out past fights of some of the young kids coming up from Velasco or Fantasy Springs, they're on there. And all week long, go to the Golden Boy Facebook page for exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage from Dallas, Texas on the week of Canelo and Smith. Tomorrow, it'll be the arrival of the one and only Canelo Alvarez as he gets here from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. And then it'll also be the undercard arrivals of the younger fighters we mentioned, Zachary Ochoa, Franco Tanahara. That'll be also here at the Media Center. Thursday, from AT&T Stadium, the final press conference. That'll be live at 12 Central Time, 10 L.A., I don't know what time in England, but we'll get you an answer. If Luis Garcia can give me that answer, we'll be all right. But Luis Gonzalez is busy with the other stuff. But Luis Garcia is going to be our timekeeper. We're going to find him. As we're talking for 2 hours nonstop, you eventually get a little delusional, so you keep going.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, we're going here. We're just ramping up, baby. It's fun. There you see Liam Smith, nicknamed Beefy. I asked Cecilia Zuniga, the director of PR for Golden Boy, do you know why this name is Beefy? But yeah, because as a kid, he was chunky, and his mom gave him the name. So there it is. Beefy because he was chunky, and they stay with him. How many boxers who they get a nickname when they're little and it just stays with them?
It stays with them,
It just stays
and sometimes
with them.
it makes no sense.
None at all.
Bud Crawford is another example of that. Yeah,
where'd that come from?
I forgot that story, to be honest with you.
Exactly. Well, we'll get there when we have a Bud Crawford on our card. But right now, Liam Smith lacing up. What kind of gloves does he use? Rivals?
That looks like Rivals, yes.
Ah. What's considered the punching glove?
Oh, the punching glove is the Cleto Reyes, and it used to be the horsehair glove, and I'm not even so sure they allow that anymore. A lot of commissions now are cracking down on the type of padding that you have in the glove, and also the distribution of that padding within the glove over the knuckle area.
Right, but a puncher's glove is still a glove that is manufactured in a way that you can make a tighter fist.
That is the voice of Doug Kim. See, I'm putting you guys together. Doug Fisher, the
Everyone
editor
does that.
of RingTV.com. And Doug, your mailbags on Fridays and Mondays. The email for that is?
Dougie@boxingmailbag.com.
Because I've noticed you're starting to get more and more overseas people writing to you.
Well, especially now, because right now...
They have so many champions.
Yeah, the UK boxing scene is experiencing a renaissance, a golden age, if you will. They have between 12 and 14 major
world title holders right now in boxing.
And Steve Kim, longtime boxing scribe. I met him at BaxBoxing.com, where my shirt never arrived. Now you can see him
I forgot to bring that. I got one for you.
No, you don't.
I do. I swear to God, I have one. Still in the wrap.
Oh, no, no.
Yeah,
that goes this
I messed up. I'm going to bring it. The Belasco show.
Don't you dare bring that. You send that to Canastoga. Steve Kim, check him out at UCN Live and also Boxing Scene. Your Twitter is?
It's Steve UCN Live, and look at this picture.
Is
of
Beefy
Keith
the kid
Smith.
in red? It's got to be.
You better be.
Yeah, he's the kid. Yeah, that's a beefy face.
That is Paul,
Cute as the
Steven,
Dickens.
Callum Smith in there.
Those are the fighting
family.
lads.
And also Steve Kim, without a doubt, one of the best boxing podcasts available. That would be the Montoya Factor with Gabe Montoya.
The next round.
The next round. And then on Mondays, the 3 knockdown rule with Mario Lopez. That one I like because it's quick to the point, get straight to it. It seems like you guys don't even have time to tape this.
Literally, Mario Lopez is the Mexican James Brown. He's the hardest working man in show business. You get about 30 minutes to do the show. You better show up on time. You better get started, and then he's got 50 other things to do.
But you guys have great chemistry.
Yeah,
we
good.
really do.
I like it when you guys get the callers involved on those other podcasts because no screener I could tell.
Yeah.
No screener. And, it was a great time to take advantage of Steve Kim's news and notes, one of the good features that we have when you're watching our Belasco shows or our Ring TV show from the Fantasy Springs. After Triple G and Kilbrook this weekend, what's been some of the buzz and what's coming up?
Well, the bottom line is that WBA, as promised, Gilberto Mendoza Jr. messaged me right after the fight. We talked about this on the last Belasco show. The WBA is going to mandate that fight. There's a 30-day negotiating period that is now in effect. They have 120 days to make that fight. Danny Jacobs won on Friday against Sergio Mora in Reading, Pennsylvania on Spike TV. And, of course, Golovkin beat Brook in 5 rounds at the O2 Arena. So I really believe if the politics can be worked out, which is no sure thing, I think we have one of the more attractive middleweight features in the world today that can be made.
Yeah, the stage has been set, and that fight could happen in late November, correct?
Yes.
And Steve, also later on in that time we were talking about this, your schedules, you're trying to figure out if you're going Kovalev or Pacquiao.
The bottom line is, guys, I just cannot stand to be away from you guys. And November 4th, we're doing a LA Fight Club again at the Belasco November 4th. So November 19th, Kovalev Ward, here I come. And also, one other thing, I spoke about this earlier, the future schedules. Tom Loeffler did say to me yesterday while still in England, November 26th could be a possible date for Golovkin's return. And as I mentioned earlier, Eric Gomez says that they have a hold for Canelo Alvarez should he win this weekend for the famed Madison Square Garden,
and that
December
would be
10th.
And that would be in the big garden, right?
Yes, it would be. But there's still an issue, though, with the new edict in New York, which I don't think makes a lot of sense, and it's very prohibitive, where every fighter now has to be covered for like up to $1 million. That has set the premium. Insurance-wise. Now, all of a sudden, the cost of shows, I believe a lot of club shows will go by the wayside, unfortunately. The bigger shows where you have television money coming in, I don't think it'll be quite as effective. Tom Loeffler says to me, we're still going to go to New York once a year with Golovkin. Eric Gomez and the Golden Boy brass says we're going to look into it. Now, they have to find a provider that'll be willing to have an affordable premium, and at that point, I do think some of the bigger shows will still take place in the Big Apple.
You're watching Liam Beefy Smith work the ring, work the gloves right now with his trainer Gallagher. We'll be talking to him in a couple of minutes.
You see the high guard.
Yeah.
That's why Steven brought up Winky Wright. Winky Wright had that real high guard. In fact, Wright would turn his gloves the other way and actually catch with the palms of his hands. This is a little more of an orthodox high guard, but he stands straight up and keeps the elbows in to protect his rib cage. And that's what he does. He wants to walk you down. You throw a punch, he catches it on his elbow or forearm, and then he fires his.
How big is Gallagher, man? He's tall, isn't he?
It's interesting. Liam Smith actually has some length to him. I don't know what he's listed at, but I think he's at least a couple of inches taller than Canelo Alvarez. And we take a look at the tail of the tape. He's listed at 5'9", and 5'10", while Canelo is 5'9". Doug, going back to the way this fight has to be fought, and again, and Beto, you point out, reach is 72 for Canelo and 69 for Smith, which is surprising. If you're the smaller guy, I could see why maybe you want to counter set traps. You're the bigger, rangier guy, in my opinion, just looking at him. I think Liam needs to come out of his shell a little bit and continue to try to be first from the very, very onset of this fight.
Beto Duran, Doug Fisher, and Steve Cam. We are the crew for the LA Fight Club and also at Fantasy Springs in Indio, California. Golden Boy Promotions puts on a very cool event on the first Friday of every single month at the historic Belasco Theater in downtown Los Angeles. It's a great club show. You see the youngsters get there, sell some tickets, make a couple bucks, make a name for themselves, and they graduate. Diego De Loya has fought there. Joseph Diaz Jr. has fought on these shows. And where are they now? They are on pay-per-view. And our next show after the Canelo Smith will be September 30th from the Fantasy Springs Resort and Casino in Indio, California. That is where Diego De Loya trains. And you will be able to see Peter Petrov and the artist Michael Angelo Perez in a title eliminator, correct?
And I think that's a very good stylistic fight. I believe the winner of that fight will be in line for the WBO title. And you talk about the graduates. Beto, the guy that was originally scheduled to headline that card is Andrew Cancio.
Who is now taking on
these
Joseph
guys
Diaz Jr.
do go to the next level if they put in their time with these platforms.
And those fights are available on the Golden Boy YouTube page. And when you look at Liam Smith, Doug, because you get a lot of these letters from the UK, and of course, a country their fans are always going to support him because for many people, Julio Cesar Chavez has never lost ever,
Right.
according to the Mexicans. His son, yeah, but him, no. The British fans are behind Beefy Smith.
Yeah, the British fans are loyal fans. And here's the thing: what I like about British fans is they're also just general boxing fans. They follow boxers from all over the world. They would be considered hardcore boxing fans here in the United States by the closeness which they follow the sport. But they're realistic. If their guy is an underdog, they'll admit it. They're like, listen, he's probably not going to win. I'm still going to be at the arena. I'm still going to cheer for him if the fight takes place, locally in the UK. And occasionally, they're willing to travel with their fighters. Sometimes, a guy like Ricky Hatton
there's
brings
only
those
one.
fans.
Right?
There's only one Ricky Hatton. But they would bring fans. Lennox Lewis would bring a lot of fans over when with his big fights, his fights against Evander Holyfield at Madison Square Garden and at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. A lot of British fans came out and they kind of take over the venue. They really get into the fight atmosphere. They often show up to the arena early. They get nice and liquored up. They sing songs. And whether their fighter has a shot or not, they're going to cheer for him. They're going to sing for him as well. They come up with songs. That's kind of like the soccer tradition there. And a lot of times it helps elevate the fighters. It helps spur them on to really kind of fight beyond their means.
You mentioned the soccer tradition. Liam Smith, a big Liverpool fan. Steven Gerrard actually plays for the LA Galaxy because he has a sprained ankle. There might be talk that he will be in attendance on Saturday night, the Liverpool legend. Steve, going back to the fans of the UK, you were talking off air about this. The ratings that Saturday's fight that Brooke put up and Triple G, just over and over, astonishing.
It is. For a Saturday afternoon rating, which is generally lower on premium cable networks, the last fight with Golovkin and Brooke did right under 850,000. Now, this is during college football season. So that is a hell of a number. And also, you talk about the live gate. I know people in England, a lot of fans, that was an impossible ticket to get. And the secondary market was really robust. You literally had to pay 2, 3, 4 times the amount to actually get into that O2 venue.
That's great. You love to hear that about the sport when you're going, or especially overseas. I know, Doug, you were there recently. Didn't you see? You saw Quigg and Frampton.
Yeah, Quigg Frampton in February this year at Manchester Arena in Manchester, England. And the fight didn't live up to expectations.
But your tweets did, though.
Thank you very much.
They always do, though.
The atmosphere did.
That actually, and Quigg is, he's part of Gallagher's crew. There he is.
He's got to take pictures of Gallagher.
Yeah,
hire him for the Golden Boy social
he's
team.
He's
ready to go.
That's the Gallagher social media team. He's a one-man army. Scott Quigg, former 122-pound belt holder. But although that fight with Frampton didn't live up to expectations, everything that I'd heard about the English crowd, it's so true. I mean,
Guys,
it's amazing, the atmosphere.
If you are Joe Gallagher, who's the jockey for this thoroughbred, you got to use that night as a lesson. I thought the biggest mistake that was made in that fight, because I thought Quigg really came on in the second half. Beto, in football, you don't wait till you're 38-0 down to give your football team a speech. Get on them early.
Unless it's Monday night.
What's it like when you get a call? Honestly, what's the reaction after you get a call that you're fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez?
Just very exciting. But, it's what every boxer in my position is waiting for that call. And when I got it, it was one that, I jumped at, and it's one that, I've been asking for now. Obviously, when I become world champion, they were the names I wanted to be linked with. And then when I got linked with Canelo, I was over the moon.
This Saturday, you have a chance to possibly have the biggest fight of the year. We have no idea what the outcome is going to be. We're going from television and rings to center stage, AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. Hundreds and thousands of people are the lights shining down on you. WBO Junior middleweight champion defending his crown. Is the pressure getting now? Is it come, or is this just another fight?
It's not. It's more than just another fight. It's a chance to become top of the tree. I beat Canelo. I'm the #1 junior middleweight in the world. So that's what it is for me. That is the ultimate goal for me. As soon as I beat Canelo, I'm the best in the division. So all the pressure. There's no pressure on me. You know what I mean? Like a lot of American press ripped me off before I even stepped foot in the gym. So there's no pressure on me. It's Mexican Independence Weekend. So this is all about Canelo. This is all about Canelo working his way towards Triple G. And like I say, it's not going to happen.
What would you like to say right now to everybody watching and to the fight fans that Mexico cheering for, and not just the Mexicans, but to all the fans that are underdogging you, saying that you don't have a chance against Saul Canelo Alvarez? Right now, look into that camera and let all those fans know that are cheering for Canelo what you bring on Saturday and why their thoughts, change those thoughts.
They tune in Saturday, they'll know, they'll see I've come to fight, and when I do come to fight, the style I've got, when I beat Canelo Alvarez, I think all them fans will become fans of Liam Smith. But the press ripped me off. Like I said last time, you can go fuck yourselves, because you want to write about me Sunday morning when I beat Canelo. So
you gotta love it right there, man. Undefeated WBO junior middleweight champion, and I like his mouth, man. He has a mouth on him, man. Liam Beefy Smith.
So I think he just said,
you guys, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate it this afternoon.
It's a very thick Liverpudlian accent.
Yeah, we need Luis Gutierrez with the translation. As a Liverpool lad, we're going to be talking to him soon. And you know what? There you see his family, the Fighting Smith brothers.
Yeah, and I think that's a record. See, they have the Lonsdale belt there. That's the oldest belt in boxing. That's basically the British title. And for all four brothers to have won and held that title, I think that made British history. And by the way, that belt, those British belts right there, and I think that's, God, who is it on the fighter?
Which belt? Yeah.
The belts, the ones that's got red and blue in there, and it's gold. That's real gold.
What?
Those belts are gold.
Dipped in gold?
Yeah. No, not dipped in gold. They are made out of gold.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then we need to get that belt over here.
Yes, we do, don't we?
Put that on the Golden Boy Snapchat and Instagram, Facebook page, YouTube. Check it out all week long. Christina's doing a good job with it. Luis Gonzalez is doing a good job with it. Panda, Will Wright with his smooth jacket. Christina Gonzalez with a Z.
I think it's John L. Sullivan.
I think that's Omar in front of me. I'm not too sure. I mean, we're waiting for Smith. This is what you call Phil at the Dallas, Texas, home of the Gaylord Resort. And I'm so used to saying casino in Las Vegas, but no, we're not. As you see all the international media, Kieran is showing up. Bernardo Osuna is showing up. Will, look at that. Look, Steve Kim wastes no time. He goes straight over to Gallagher and starts interviewing him. It's cool, Steve. We don't want to talk to you because we got Liam Smith. The Liverpool lad shows up. How you doing? Liam put this on right here. You can talk to us. And how are you feeling right now at this moment?
I'm feeling very good, ready to fight at this moment. I've enjoyed Fight Week over here because it's different for me. I'm fighting abroad, but I'm one of them fighters who I hate Fight Week. It's boring for me, and I'd just rather fight all
it's boring for us, too. We hate doing all this stuff. Hey, when did you show up to the United States?
I was meant to come Friday, but I didn't come till Sunday because of visa problems. But, I'm used to coming to America. I've been to America on numerous occasions. I don't suffer with jet lag or anything like that. So, I'm not worried about anything like that. I'm confident.
It's a huge stage for you, and in Canelo Alvarez, you're fighting somebody who, though 25 years old, has that big fight experience. He's been in there with future Hall of Famers like Mayweather and Cotto and Sugar Shane Mosley. So obviously, people perceive this as a huge step up for you. What's your mentality going into a fight where everyone's saying, this dude's at another level. He's at a higher class than you?
I don't knock people and I don't criticize people for saying that, but Canelo Alvarez has had that chance against Shane Mosley. He had that chance against Miguel Cotto. He hasn't had them. I haven't had them chances. This is my chance now. If I sit here next year going into a big fight with yourselves, you'll be talking to me saying, my opponent saying he's been in with Canelo Alvarez, he's been in with somebody else. Canelo's had the chance to step up. I haven't. This is my chance, and I can say it's my gain really that my chance to step up is against the biggest name out there at the moment. I don't think he's the best fighter out there at the moment. But
is it fair to say this is your proving ground, at least to American fans who haven't
100%.
seen you before?
Yeah, 100%. But I think I come under a little bit of unfair criticism, like I said to yourself. If I came here and was about to fight one of the Charlo twins, Ishe Smith, somebody like that, a decent world level fighter, but not an elite fighter like Canelo, you'd probably say it's a very good fight.
Yeah.
But I'm coming here and I'm fighting the biggest name out here at the moment, so I haven't really had a chance to make a name out here, beating the likes of your Ishe Smith, Vanes, Martisovian. They're good fighters, but it would have been ideal for me to beat them to make a big name, then fight the big name in the sport. But my first chance out here is against Canelo Alvarez, and it's one that I'll jump at. It's one that I'm massively confident with.
You mentioned you jumped at the opportunity to get this fight. It's pay-per-view, main event, a big venue, 40,000 expected. For the United States fan who has never seen you, what is your style?
Believe me when I say I'm coming to fight, and I'm gonna make Canelo fight in part. He doesn't want to fight. Obviously, we all know he's very good and he's got very good variety, but also likes his walks and likes to admire his work when he does. So, what you see is what you get. I'm coming to fight. There's no awkwardness about me. I'm not going to come here and try and nick a points win and try and make it a bad fight. I'm coming here to make it an absolute great fight, and I'm coming here to be victorious.
I was reading that you said that this is your weight, that this is where you've been most comfortable your entire career. This is where you belong, whereas Canelo, he's gone all over the place with his weight. You're not shy about your opinion or throwing your jabs.
Yeah, because I just think I've fought at 154. Every one of my fights, since I won my first title has been 154. Yeah. Canelo's flitted through 155, and I do think he is a genuine 154, which is why I say it. But going to 155, his body hasn't been under 154 or bang on the limit of 154 since Mayweather. So every fighter will tell you it is hard, and a lot of people, it is only a pound, but a pound when you've already shedded a lot of pounds off is very hard.
Everybody says it's 1 pound, but for fighters it's like no. It's just 1 pound.
Yeah, people think, but on the flip side of that, people are saying to me, he's coming down from middleweight. He's not coming down from middleweight. He's coming down from 155, which is only a pound. And any fighter, that's why I knew the Golovkin fight would not happen, because he's not a 160 fighter. You're not going to get Triple G to 157, and Canelo, if Canelo can make 154, which is what he's got to do to fight me, then he's not a 160. Any fighter who can make 154 is not a 160, and I just think always knew that fight was not going to happen.
And we knew you were taking it, but did Canelo make a mistake taking on you?
Yeah, I think I knew he was going to pick. I knew I was in the running because I knew, I always knew that fight wouldn't happen, and I knew he was going to pick one of the 4 champions at 154, and I think he made a mistake picking me.
Is there anything, technically speaking, that you believe you do better than Canelo does in the ring?
There's things I think I do, and I think I can, gain to my advantages. Yes, and I don't think he's very clever defensively. I don't, but I just think not many people, especially of late, have tried to exploit that. I think Amir Khan did, but Amir and Miguel Cotto done very well against them. But I just think they were too small. Too much smaller men. I think what I aimed at before to you, where Canelo likes his walks and likes to admire them walks, and Amir and I think Miguel Cotto let him do that too much because they were safe then.
Right.
They were safe. They didn't have to engage.
I was going to bring that up. Cotto and Khan didn't try to take it to Canelo. They were trying to box from a safe distance the entire fight. That's obviously not really your fight.
Yeah, no, I think Cotto done very, very well, and I think when you watch the fight again with no sounds, I think they were very pro Canelo on the commentary team. But I think when you watch it, Cotto does very well, but he's just not big enough. Maybe the youthness, he didn't have that hunger. Sometimes he goes for it and he tries to push Canelo back, but again, he just didn't have it in him to push him back. So he has to go and box a different way. Amir is a back foot fighter. Like I say, I'm not going to come and try and do what Amir done well, because I don't do them things well, and I'm not going to change what I do well, which got me up to this far. I'm not going to come here and try something all of a sudden different.
Liverpool.
Well, I was going to say what you do well. I like the way you gradually close distance. I think you have a really good jab. You defend well with just a high guard. But I think you do your best work when you're in close and you put your combinations together, and particularly your left hook to the body. I think you've broken a lot of guys down. You've won your last 8 fights by knockout round. I think the body attack was a factor in all of those stoppages. How much is your body attack going to be a factor against Canelo?
Can you name many people who've gone for his body?
Not really.
Not really. Yeah, I think Cotto tried a couple, but I'm gonna come for his head and his body, and I'm gonna be there to make him fight. And I've said I'll say it again, that if he doesn't, we don't know what Canelo's going to come and try and do. He might come the way he did with Angulo and just stand and have a fight. He might box the way he boxed Cotto, but I say if he doesn't hurt me and doesn't hurt me early, then he's in for a long, long night, because I get better and better as fights go on, and I just think a lot of factors don't aim Canelo to do that. I think weight could be one of them factors. If the weight is hard for him, he's not going to get better down the stretch. He's going to get worse. And I will draw that out of him if that's the case.
The pay-per-view Saturday, AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. That's where they play American football. But football, it starts with Liverpool, right?
Yes.
That's where it is. Steven Gerrard coming?
He's meant to be, yeah.
Steven Gerrard meant to be here on Saturday. He's definitely going to be here, the main event. There's a camera. Say hello to your people in Liverpool.
Hello, everyone from Liverpool and England making the trip. I hope you have a safe flight coming in. I look forward to seeing you in Dallas.
And we'll see him Saturday night, pay-per-view. Go to goldenboypayperview.com. It'll be Liam Smith, Canelo Alvarez. That's the main event. We'll be back with more on ringtv.com. That is the Gaylord Texan Resort, that headquarters for Canelo and Smith. Main event on Saturday. Tomorrow, right here on Ring TV, Canelo Alvarez gets here from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. Grand arrival and undercard workouts. Make sure you check out the Golden Boy YouTube page, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. For my partners, Doug Fisher and Steve Kim, led by Will Wright, and everybody on the Ring TV crew, I'm Beth Duran saying good night.